Yo, we gather round, it's time to hear the story. Got a movement taking over, taking back the glory. It's the community of communities in the Web3 and NFT space, connecting minds and creating a whole new pace. We're revolutionizing, breaking all the rules, building bridges, breaking chains, we the ones who choose to empower artists, give them ownership and control. And together we rise and we're taking back our soul. We community of communities, standing tall. Rising in this digital realm, we won't fall, no. From the Web3 to the NFT, we pave the way. Together we move and ain't nothing in our way. Yo, we gather round, it's time to hear the story. Got a movement taking over, taking back the glory. It's the community of communities in the Web3 and NFT space, connecting minds and creating a whole new pace. We're revolutionizing, breaking all the rules, building bridges, breaking chains, we the ones who choose to empower artists, give them ownership and control. And together we rise and we're taking back our soul. We community of communities, standing tall. Rising in this digital realm, we won't fall, no. From the Web3 to the NFT, we pave the way. Together we move and ain't nothing in our way.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Community of Communities, a groundbreaking Web3 movement that celebrates the diverse tapestry of human creativity, innovation, and collaboration. In a world characterized by unprecedented connectivity and decentralization, the Community of Communities stands as a testament to the power of collective ingenuity. Together, we'll discover the limitless possibilities of the Web3 movement and the remarkable individuals and communities who are shaping the future. Stay tuned for a showcase of inspiration, collaboration, and boundless creativity as we dive deep into the heart of the Community of Communities. Welcome aboard. I now bring you our host, Thy Revolution.
Good afternoon, happy Saturday, and welcome to the Communities Web3 space. Thank you for joining. We appreciate everyone who's dropped down to that bottom right corner, liked the space, dropped a comment, done a retweet, shared it out to your community. We appreciate that. And if it does clog up your timeline, you can always undo the retweet after the space. It still has the benefits of sharing it out during the meantime. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's joined us tonight. We'd really do appreciate it. As always, I will give you guys a brief intro to how we normally conduct our spaces, just so that you guys are fully aware of what's happening and how we're doing these. It is a little bit different to the spaces that you might be used to joining. So we conduct these spaces for 2 hours, giving each guest up to 60 minutes each. You don't have to utilize the full 60 minutes, but every guest we've ever featured has, because once you start to dive into your project, the ecosystem, the movement, the reason why you're even doing it in the first place, time flies, and before you know it, the 60 minutes is up. So we appreciate you guys for joining this amazing space tonight. So as we normally do, we will introduce our co-hosts and core team, and then we will introduce the amazing guest that we've got tonight, which is Hedgefunz and Gold One. So without further ado, I introduce the Bacon Sandwich. How are we doing, Bacon?
All right, boys and girls, how's it going?
Happy Saturday, sir.
All right. Yeah, no, look forward to tonight. I met the golden one down there at an event in Portugal, which was really fun. And I know Hedgefunz swung by a few weeks ago. So yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to speaking to Gold One. It sounds like a really great ecosystem that I wish I'd have found sooner, but that's why we love doing these spaces, because we get to find the people that we've always been looking to meet. So if you are a guest on our space tonight and you have anything you need to pin at the top, you are more than welcome to pin anything you need to pin, and then we will point to it throughout the space, and hopefully people that are listening will go and show love to that and check it out, because that is what this is about. So I appreciate everyone that does that as well. We also have Crypto Tote on the stage. How are we doing, Tony?
Hey Mickey, yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Looking forward to this space. As always, welcome in everyone. Thanks for sharing the space out. Let's get this popping. Welcome. Let's go.
We had some issues last night, didn't we? a lot of our friends couldn't get in. It's really annoying.
Yeah, it is frustrating. X is like that sometimes. It can be a bit touchy, and sometimes this is why I'll give a little bit of a brief intro to the space, welcome everyone on the stage, because it does take 5 or 10 minutes for people to join, and sometimes people forget that the spaces have started and all that stuff. So once everyone starts sharing out the space and we introduce the guests, normally most people have joined the space and shared it out to their communities. So yeah, we definitely appreciate that. We also have Bella on stage. Bella, happy Saturday. How are you?
Happy Saturday. I wanted to say hedge fund, he's bringing so many PFPs. I'm like lost. I'm like, wait, who is this? Who is that? Wait, the PFPs are amazing. But by the end of the night, you will have adopted the plus because you're one of us. So, love to see the support. This is amazing. Love it. That's all I got to say, and I'm going to stop.
Yeah, no worries.
Happy
Thank you,
Saturday.
Bella. Happy Saturday. We appreciate you as always. You're always showing the love and support, and we appreciate it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of hedge funds in the building, which is awesome. That's good to see a good community and people showing support to each other as well. So we definitely love that. So without further ado, we'll introduce Gold One, and then we will move on to Sonic Coin and hedge funds. So they can correct me if I'm saying the wrong thing as well. So I do appreciate that. So Gold One, happy Saturday, my friend. How are we, sir?
Happy Saturday, everybody. Yeah, good. How are you doing? How you guys doing? Hope everybody's pumped for this Saturday, or has been pumped for most of the day at least.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. It's good to hear a British voice, my friend. Looking forward to chatting with you tonight, and thank you for joining us as well, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much for putting it on and inviting me as well, man. Definitely, Bacon Sandwich there invited me, man. We bumped into each other over at Portugal at a festival called Blockdown Festival. Kind of like a crypto, it's crypto festival, and that's literally what it is. So, pretty good event, and yeah, man, like we got talking, and he was saying about doing some other stuff as well around the space. So I've just started really like kind of like pushing out one of the projects I was working on around that time. So yeah, man, glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you, bro. And that is amazing to say that you guys met in a different part of the world. That is epic. But I suppose that is Web3 in a nutshell because we are global. We do things everywhere, and it's great that you meet someone from back home, if you will, who has an equal passion to what it is that you're doing. So that's awesome, bro. So thank you for joining us. We will jump back to you a little shortly. We were going to jump over to hedge funds and Sonic Coin, and then we will come back to you, bro. So we appreciate you hanging around and showing the love and showing support to a different ecosystem. It just says a lot about who you are as well. So we appreciate that. But yeah, Sonic Coin, welcome. Are you speaking from you personally, or are we speaking to hedge funds?
I think we're both going to be speaking. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's perfect, loud and clear. Awesome. Yeah, happy Saturday, my friend.
Happy Saturday. I appreciate you having us on here. Yeah, Sonic Coin and hedge funds is we're different, but we're basically the same. we're like the, we're like a marriage, two halves to one whole.
I like it. It sounds really interesting as well, and we look forward to spending some time learning about what that means, who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, where you came from, how long you've been here, and that type of thing. So yeah, wicked. Thank you. We also have hedge funds on stage as well. How are we doing, my friend?
What's up, everybody? Bacon, Mickey, how you boys doing? What's up, chat?
Hey.
Appreciate you guys having us up. As you guys may know, I'm 50 Cal from over on the TikTok. So I've known Mickey and Bacon here for quite a while. Tony as well. Been around the communities for a good minute. So I definitely appreciate you guys having us up, getting a chance to showcase what we got going on. Just know that we've got mad love and respect for you boys. You guys are doing great. Communities, we love y'all.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Appreciate that. And yeah, it's good to see you. We have been around for a while and seen each other for quite a while, so it's great to see that. Yeah, you're doing stuff, and I'm looking forward to finding out exactly what that is as well. So I think Bacon was going to say something as well. Fire away, Bacon, my friend.
So back in the day when we were doing these spaces, we would try and pair two projects that are some way related, or maybe they, would it'd be beneficial for maybe both parties to meet, for example. But then we changed it. What we did was we moved to a different system where people would essentially book their slot on the podcast instead. And what's ended up happening is people have kind of found these links without realizing that they're links. So let's say, for example, we've got Solnick made by Sega, and Golden One, his name is Sega is Sega. So we've just fate and luck has just kind of made that happen. It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a pound for every synchronicity that we face doing these spaces, we wouldn't be doing these spaces anymore. We'd be in Portugal always. So it is kind of funny when you think about it. We was talking about the other day. It was like Sonic and Sega, like, aren't they already like a thing? So that was really interesting, to be fair. But yeah, just to get the ball rolling. First of all, we also have Tricky Buddha on stage, who is also on tour right now. So we'll quickly introduce the legend himself, Tricky Buddha. How are we doing, sir?
It's Tricky Buddha from DeFi Space Donkeys, live from Washington State. I'm at my grandma's birthday party. She's 95, but I had to pop in and, show some love to the community, retweet the room, tag some friends, the usual. But yeah, I'm in Spokane, and I'm surprised I even have any reception right here. So let's go.
I love that introduction. Tricky's on tour. I love it.
Let's go. Nice one, Tricky. We appreciate you joining, bro, whilst you're at your grandma's party. 93, that's crazy. Almost a century old.
95.
95, sorry.
95.
Yeah, I'm swearing at you right now. I do apologise. 95.
Crazy. She came up to me earlier and she asked, "Why am I still alive?"
Oh my word. What did you say? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I said I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna study your body when you die and like sell it to science.
That's incredible. I mean, when you turn 100 in England, you actually get you did get a letter from the Queen. I mean, it'd probably be from the King now, but yeah, she needs to come over to the UK on her 99th birthday, I reckon. But no, fair play to her. I mean, the fact that she's even asking questions like that sounds like she's still not ready to hang up a boxing gloves just yet, which is amazing.
She's so fun and witty still. She asked what I was doing. I told her about the club and how I'm gonna go hang out with Zol. We're planning this event. I showed her a DeFi space donkey and she said, "That's really cool. Can you print that out for me so I can make a cross stitch of it?" I'm like, hell yeah. My grandma, 95.
That's a giveaway. Now that is a giveaway. Imagine that.
Right? She is a DeFi space donkey. I'm teaching her, well, I've already showed her Chat GPT. I'm showing her like some latest AI stuff for her research because she's like writing books still. She's super active. It's awesome. Stay active. You will keep, like, you stay young. That's, it's all in your mind. The more you use it, the more that shit stays strong. but But yeah, man, we'll go back to the interview. I appreciate you all. I'm definitely just here to support, and I probably got to get back to my fam, so I won't be talking too much. But yeah, retweet the room, tag some friends, and yeah, look at this. Look at this community showing up strong. I love to see it.
Let's go. No, that's amazing, Tricky, and I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for her. I mean, I bet you didn't saw her Chat GBT. I bet Chat GBT showed you her. That's incredible. But yeah, I mean, we'll move on with the space. But I'm glad you're well. I'm glad your grandma is well. That is awesome, and I'm glad that she's still going strong. That is incredible. But yeah, so how we normally start these spaces, Solnick, we normally just ask you to give an introduction of who you are. When you guys started doing what it is that you're doing, and just a brief introduction of what it is that you are as an ecosystem, if that's okay. So if you could just give us an intro, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. So, my name is Devin Gayeski, known online as your boy Ski. So I do YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff full time. And Solnick Coin is a community takeover led by the we call them the Savage Army or the Sonic Savages now, and we're started out like the dev sort of rugged the project. Most of my community, the sort of background of everything is in 2022 and 2023, early 2023. Like I was grinding in the bear market. I made over 1,000 videos on just crypto in general, just trying to help people. And most of my community, they're sitting on a 5 or 10x, people that have followed me for long enough, just on fundamental stuff. So when we decided to do a community takeover, I let the community decide, because ultimately that's, we're going to go as far as the community takes us. You can do X, Y, and Z, but if you don't have a community, it doesn't matter. So, and they overwhelmingly voted to do a community takeover. So I doxed my wallet. I doxed myself. Most of the upper whales / team is doxed as well. We took it from 20 or 50K market cap, and it ran all the way up to $6 million market cap. Came back down, normal market behavior. That's sort of what I specialize in outside of Solnic is my technical analysis on charts and stuff. So we came back down to all the way back to 400K reconsolidated. We were kind of grueling down. It wasn't like a straight shot. It was what I estimate as normal markdown in Wyckoff. We reaccumulated around 400 or 500K, and then now we're working on our next leg, what I call the sign of strength. It almost got away from me because it was like I don't want to say like in the very beginning. In the very beginning when it happened, like that first day, we went from 500 or 50K to like 300K in the first day. And I really didn't understand, how quickly it was going to take off. And it took off almost even back then more quickly than what I anticipated. And from that point, it was like, okay, this is my full-time job now. I have a responsibility to my community to do what's right by the community. And then, so I just decided to take this as far as we can, do as much as I can, and teaching people with education on charts, sort of mastering their emotions while investing, not only in Solnic, but everything, as well as just building a real project. What was a meme coin, what was a rug, it's like a real company now, and we're like building every single day. You can clearly see like the community speaks for itself, already showing up, showing out in this space, and this is how we roll. We roll deep, and we have a strong community, like the mighty Spartan warriors, if you will. But along with making it a real project and really trying to do stuff for the long term and not just pumping our bags or whatever, we decided to really start developing, and that's when we came up with the idea to do the NFT project as sort of a way to raise capital for Solnic, for marketing, developing. Because I don't believe in, something for nothing. I don't want to, just donate to this and then maybe we'll do something later. I'd rather have something really cool to offer up as a product so that we can raise capital. So that's what we plan to do with the launch, is really move along our Solnic, getting us listed on some centralized exchanges. We're in talks right now with MEXC, P2B. As well as bridging over to Base. And for me, the way that I look at it is like there are some people that love Solana. Right now we're on Solana. And there are some people that love Base. There's some people that love AVAX. There's some people that love, BNB. To me, the more that we diversify by burning liquidity and creating liquidity pools, the bigger piece of a pie that we can take a slice from. Because right now we are limited to the success or lack thereof on Solana, but the more that we diversify on centralized exchanges and as well as on different ecosystems with B&B, Base, AVAX, all of them. You know, people have their own little thing that they like to do, and yeah, that's what we're trying to build as much as we can. In our Telegram right now, we have we have a jackpot system. So anytime someone buys more than 8,000 Solnic, you get a spin at the dice. If the dice lands on 6, you go to the jackpot slots. If you get 3 sevens, you win the jackpot. If you don't, the jackpot goes higher, and that's sort of homage, or that's sort of paying homage to what we're really developing in the long term, which is the casino. That's our big ticket item that is really going to take us, you know, into the upper echelons of not just being a meme coin, but being something that is respectable. And that comes from Sonic, that our character, you know, in the game they had casino night, so that's what we're doing. We're developing a real casino, and the NFTs are going to play into that as well with their some of the NFTs are going to have briefcases, and it's going to be you'll win a certain amount of Solana, but you don't know what it is. So it's almost like a slot machine as well. So it's all kind of tied together. It's all working together. I feel like Gronk. Oh yeah, it's all coming together, you know. But yeah, no. The most important thing though is a extremely strong community. Always rating like quite literally like our 1000X depends on it, because it does. And every single day I tell them, we are the rocket, we are the fuel, we are the engineers. This is your captain speaking. Next up is to Jupiter. It's a great team. Like Hedgefunz is led by my man 50 Cal, doing great things. And then that's what it is. We have a great team, great community, building real things, real tokenomics. And with that, I'll pass the mic to Hedgefunz.
Hey, I appreciate that warm welcoming. You know, as Ski said, like it really does come down to community. You know, with our thoughts behind everything, like when you jump into an NFT project, the first thing that people want to ask is, what's the utility? What's the utility? Now, you know, that being said, this so the project itself is going to be made up of 1,600 unique NFTs. 11 of those NFTs are going to be briefcases. They are going to range anywhere from $150 worth of Solana up until $600 in Solana. So we'll have one that's worth 600. That's an instant 10x right off the rip. Goal is we were looking at $60 in Solana. You know, I could sit here and said when we first started to look at this, we were going to do like say half a Solana, right? 0.5 Solana. But we all know that can change. So you could really price people out by turning around and saying, let's do 0.5 when you're setting it up. And what are we looking at Solana at right now? You know, so that being said, you know, we set the price in a USD scenario. You know, each one's going to be worth $60. There's only 1,600 in general. 11 of those are going to be those briefcases. One's going to be worth 600. One's going to be worth 400. One's going to be worth 300. 8 of them are going to be worth $150 in Solana. Now, that being said, we've based on this whole gambling, heading trying to get into a casino type of situation. We wanted to add a little bit of that degenerate vibes, right? So let's say, you know, Mickey mints one. He gets a briefcase on his mint. You know, he could turn around and be like, you know what? I haven't turned this into the team to be burnt yet. Let me throw this up on the secondary market. But you know what? I'm gonna put it up there for, let's just say, 1 Solana. Well, Mickey didn't realize that he had the $600 in Solana in his briefcase. Now Mickey still made good money on his initial investment, But the other person that just bought that for one Solana made just as good of an investment, as good of a return. So I wanted to bring some degenerate vibes to it. Now, why we chose 11 is because, Whiskey, he wanted, and his goal to push this is to see Solnick at $5.89, sending it to Jupiter. So how better to represent that than take away out of that 1,600, 11 of them to give back, obviously, to the community. But that leaves 1, 5, 8, 9, representing one Solnick at $5.89. So there's kind of some numbers, a little bit of back history to that. Now, what we also plan on doing is 300 of these. We're going to have 3 different characters. There's going to be a male character, there's going to be a female character, and there's going to be a villain. The villain, we'll just call him Gary. Solnick's evil cousin. If you capitalize the first 3 letters, and the first letter of each one of those Solnick's evil cousin, you'll get where I'm going with that. And once you see it, you'll kind of understand that there's some likeness to some Garys that we know around the space. So that being said, he's going to be super rare. He's not going to show his face as much. Now, the female characters, there will be 300 female characters. We chose 300 because, well, there might be something planned for a special airdrop to the holders. And what I mean by that is that if you mint more than one, and you happen to get a male and a female, not the villain, but a male and a female, and you're holding them, there'll be a special airdrop. 300 to be exact, of Hedgefunz babies. Kind of like a boss baby vibe if you want, but it's kind of like a way of saying, hey, thank you for support, So we limited that to 300. That will be an airdrop that will be in the future that is intended. Now, with all of this being said, we've still got more. So we have 1589, and I say this number 1589 because we're not going to include the ones that are being burnt, the briefcases. But if you pick anybody who picks up an NFT for 1 year, we are going to do giveaways. We're going to do wheel spins. For everybody that has an NFT in their wallet, we're going to do a wheel spin. And there's going to be each month 1 million in total sold. Each month we'll get 100,000, equaling 1 million per month. If you have more than one hedge fund, you will have your name on that more than once, meaning you can win more than once. The more you have, as far as the Hedgefunz NFT, the more names, slots you get on that wheel. Meaning you could win all 10 of them if you literally bought up 100 NFTs and every single one of them hit for that. But over that 1 year, there's going to be 12 million Solnick token given out. And if you look at what the price is right now, I think at 100,000, you'd be looking somewhere around $200, give or take. I could be off by my numbers aren't exact, but it's just a roundabout number. And if somebody could do the math, they're more than welcome to do the math on that. But where it's at right now, it'd be right around $200-ish that you're going to be receiving just for catching that, win on the wheel spin for holding an NFT. So that in itself is pretty dope. It's incentivizing people to want to hold, because if you sell it, obviously your name's not on the wheel anymore. Now, if you buy 10 and you want to throw a couple out to the secondary market to see if you can make some money on, which, hey, why not? And we encourage it because you want to try to get those numbers up on the secondary. Otherwise, Bored Apes, Pudgy Penguins, they wouldn't have become as large as what they have. Everybody's only diamond handing, you can't get no notoriety on your project. So we urge that, go ahead, DJ and vibe it, throw some stuff out there, see what you got, make some money on it. But that being said, we've got that, we've got the hedge funds. We also, each one of those different characters will have, different traits amongst them. So I've been kind of dropping like images of different, traits that we have, the different layers that we have going on. There will be more rarities, obviously, inside of each male, female, and the villain. There will be rarities amongst themselves. So you may not be seeing everything that we have in store as far as the artwork. If you look in the comments, I did drop a little bit of a lore piece, that we kind of just had done, like a promo piece. Basically what it is the lore behind it is, the man's always trying to keep everybody down. It's been a giant rat race. You want to try to hedge yourself against the system, which is where the hedge funds kind of came about. um, Somebody made a comment and said hedge fund with a D, and I was like, what about hedge funds with a Z? Because that kind of is fitting too. So when that name popped up, it was just like it stuck with everybody. It resonated. It was like, yeah, it's fun, hedging against the system. Let's beat the system. We're all in this to make some money and try to get out of this rat race. So that's where we kind of went with that.
50, it's nice to see you again, mate. Yeah, I think you've put your pitch down. I think it was really clear and concise. I think you've explained it really well. Good job, mate. Good job.
Oh, I appreciate that. And once again, thanks for having me up. If you guys aren't following Bacon, the communities, definitely drop them a follow, because I've known these guys from, last bull run, and I'll tell you, they've all been straight shooters.
Yeah, thank you, bro. It really warms my heart to hear you say something like that. It does, honestly, and I love what I'm hearing. It sounds amazing. And as I always say in all of our spaces, and we say this with love, and I'm sure you guys will appreciate, anything that anyone hears here isn't financial advice. And what we hope is that this is more of a piece of educational material that people, if inspired by, will be motivated to dig deeper and do research and check out your website, join your Discord, find out who the team is, ask them questions. But it sounds amazing, because we are hedging against the system, because the system's hedged against us, and we're of that understanding, and what people can do when they come together is everything and anything. And that's the beauty of it. So when you say that about us, it means a lot, because we've been here for a really long time, as have you, and it's amazing to see that you're making moves with people you vibe with. You've got family. They've come together to try and support one another. And who wouldn't appreciate that? And what you can do when you find the right people who come together to make an impact there is no bounds to the possibilities. So hearing a group of people especially you that we've known for the longest time, doing something for the benefit of the people you care about is just really inspiring to hear. So we appreciate you coming
Oh,
to our platform to speak to us.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I remember going back to when we all kind of got first started, even on TikTok. Like Mickey, one of his goals was to become a full time, have a full time job in Web3. Um, and getting to see that and getting to see you guys grow has been amazing in itself. I can't speak highly enough of like how proud I am to see you guys coming to where you guys have gotten to. The community growing, as much as it has itself too.
But it's been a crazy couple of years, isn't it? Brutal bear market, and yeah, it's been tough. But you can see the real ones. The real ones are still here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's sort of how real quick, that's sort of how the Savages came to be. Like the name Savages came to be, is because most of my content, or at least the at least like a big chunk of my content was in 2022 when like right after FTX collapsed and all of that. So I used to tell people, like, if you're DCAing now, you are a savage. You are the future 1%. So that's how the savage community came to be.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy is like I actually found ski during the bear market. You know, a lot of these content creators you're going to notice on some of these platforms kind of go silent when, you know, it's everything's red. You know, ski was on here. I'm pretty sure if I'm right, he actually called the top back in, you know, the last bull run. And that's where like I watched his content throughout this whole time, and I was like, all right, well, you know, and he's not biased. Like, just because he's a part of Solnic Coin, he's not biased solely on Solnic Coin. Like, he'll show you charts that will compare like what he's saying to other charts that have gone on or that are going on, and be like, all right, here's your SOS. You know, here's where we're going to retest. And, you know, and he'll compare it to the charts for Solnic. So it's not like he's solely just out to show Solnic. He does everything.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal is, you know, I want to help people, and I want people to be able to work on what they want to work on. And a biggest problem for a lot of people is money. And I feel like if I can solve that problem for you or help you solve it, and most of the time the issue lies, especially if you're investing in cryptocurrency, most of the time the issue is your emotions. Most of the time your emotions are counterintuitive. You know, it's the most scary at the bottom and it's the most greedy at the top. And so I just try to point out as much data. I'm not always right, I'm not perfect, but I try to point out as much data as I can for people to take the emotional equation out of it so that you get the biggest obstacle out of the way, which oftentimes is yourself.
You couldn't be any closer to the truth on that, and that's awesome. And you know, it's great to hear that you was making noise in the bear market when people needed it, because you're absolutely right. People went quiet during the bear market. You know, we was making as much noise as we possibly could make. It was unbelievable, and we did that because we saw a lot of people panicking and uncertain and unsure, and but it all depends on why you enter the space, I suppose. A lot of people did come for the monetary benefit, which we're all here to benefit financially. There's no denying that, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But some people had a deeper purpose to build something that was long lasting and sustainable. And it was those people that were still here because they had no intention in leaving when whether or not money was being made or lost. And I think what was amazing about that is not only did those people end up coming closer together because a lot of the noise had faded out, a lot of the people trying to make, create scams had to fall away because there was no opportunity to do so. But it gave opportunities in places that you don't normally find them. For example, we were able to reach people that was normally unreachable because there wasn't the DMs weren't being hit hard by all the people asking for work opportunities, offering opportunities. So it kind of created, for us anyway, and it's probably the same for you guys if you was building for a long-lasting purpose, which is what it sounds like. You end up finding people that you just can't reach in all the noise and all the chaos and all the uncertainty and all the doubt. But when you've got someone like you, Solnick, who have an understanding of the markets, of the charts, of the data, and you're able to you can't obviously give people the information they want because nobody has the answers, but some people have an understanding of the data and they can articulate it in a way that people can understand it. And everyone needs that in a time of uncertainty. So it's great that you provided that for people when they needed it, when everyone else faded away.
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty good with charts. Obviously, not perfect. I can't tell you everything. I can't, I just made a video kind of in a joking way. because I said that Bitcoin would go to 48K and then come back to 35K, and it went to 49 and came back to 38. And people were mad about it, and it was like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't hold your hand and tell you on this day at this time when this happens, this is going to happen. Like, I can't do it like that. But I would say where my, where I think I have the biggest strength, I guess, is my emotional understanding of like understanding how people move at certain emotions when it comes to money, specifically just fear and greed, and I think a lot of that is just from my personal story, just dealing with a lot of adversity and throughout my life, and just kind of overcoming all of that and having a you know just what I think what made me stronger and recover and grow through these things was just my emotional intelligence or my emotional understanding, and I think it translates over to investing as well. But you'll see, like in our project, for the most part, we have sort of the end in mind from the beginning, and we try to do things very intentionally. Just like $5.89 is our Jupiter target. That would put us at about $6 billion market cap, which sounds crazy, admittedly, but when you put things into perspective, that's about 1/5 of Shiba's all-time high. So can we get to 1/5? I think we can with this community and how we're building and how we've already had multiple, sort of cycles of runs to the upside and crashing down and reaccumulating, but it's more like stairs. When you zoom out, it's like we're building stairs. And I say bulls climb stairs and they fall off cliffs. Everyone wants it to go up in a straight line, but it's like if it goes up in a straight line, it's going to fall off a cliff. But I would much rather do it how we're doing it, just building and sort of that slow moon, staircasing our way up on the macro, on the bigger time frame, on a weekly or whatever, just higher lows, higher highs, and just staircasing our way up, coming back down, staircasing, building more. But yeah, the 589, I mean, it all ties into that puts us at about $6 billion market cap, and that's what we put as the hedge funds. I wanted it to be rare. I didn't want it to be super diluted, just enough to raise capital to do what we're trying to do for development, for marketing, but still offer up a good, valuable product as well, and not just be a sort of money grab, if you will. Really just building. But I appreciate you having me up here and having the community, giving us a space to talk. Make sure all the Savage Army, Solnick Savages, make sure you guys follow all the hosts and the co-hosts. I'm happy to answer any questions as well that you guys might have.
Just another thing real quick, because I kind of got off topic a little bit earlier, was where I was saying about utility and everybody wanting to know what utility is. Like, one of the biggest portions of utility is raising these funds, because the utility comes for those that are actually holding Solnick. That, what I mean by that is, with the funds that are going to get raised for this, it's going to help Solnick Coin, as Ski was saying, get onto other exchanges and help further the growth for Solnick Coin itself. So that in itself is its utility. Pick up yourself a small bag of Solnick and hold it, and you're going to see that utility from that. You're going to see that the team is pushing, fully doxed. They're out here trying to do, I don't want to say God's work, but you hear so many stories about people getting robbed and, losing, whatever X amount of money. You're basically able to jump on live pretty much every day, see Ski's face, see who's responsible for a project. These other projects, you don't know, especially if you're new to the space, you don't know if they allow blacklisted, addresses and, different stuff. Here, you're literally getting to openly see who's involved with the project, who's behind it. You're putting a face to a name and not just, hey, this is PP poo poo coin. Let me go throw some money at a shit coin. You know, you're visibly seeing who it is. So your utility comes with you investing into this, and if you have a bag of Sonic, even if it's $5, you know, that is getting to work towards the future of Sonic coin. So your utility is right there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty cool. It's fun. It's all, you know, a way for people to participate in something that's fun and you know, go on this journey together. I was hoping Rev was going to jump in there.
Yeah, sorry about that. I am multitasking sometimes. I do apologise. But no, it's been a great conversation, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. And you know, we really do appreciate your community coming to join us as well and show support. And all we want to do is, which what we've been doing for as long as we possibly can over 3 years now, is just create a platform where we can have these conversations where people like you guys can come and talk about what it is that you're building. And you know, we allocate an hour per guest, which is not what most spaces do, which is brilliant, by the way. You know, the spaces where you get shorter time are brilliant to, you know, get your point across, connect with other projects. They obviously have value. We just do it this way because we want to try and really respect the hundreds, if not thousands, of hours that you guys have put into what it is that you're building. And it's hard to try and explain the years of work in such a short period of time, especially when so much has happened, so many people involved. There's so many segments to the story that build up to the ecosystem that you're trying to showcase to the world all the time, you know, and you spend all your time trying to validate your authenticity. You're trying to, you know, prove that, you know, we're genuine, because there's so many bad actors and bad things that have happened in this space. It is why we're trying to showcase the positive side, which, you know, it's kind of what the plus represents next to our name, is that, you know, we want to showcase that there is a good side to this industry, that people are building solid, genuine things to help people and make a difference and an impact, and we want to support that. So, you know, we appreciate you taking the time to come and showcase it with us. So thank you very much. Did you want to mention?
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys having us up.
Yeah, thank you, and we feel that, you know, and thank you for taking the time to do so. You know, it really does mean a lot, and you know, and I want to thank as Gold One as well for being the second guest and waiting, you know, the hour to before he even gets the chance to speak. You know, that's testament to how passionate people are about this space, and you know, people are willing to listen to each other and just find out what each other is about, because that's the beauty of this industry. And what network we've been trying to create for years is we don't all have to try and do everything, because if you've got a good network that do things that you can't, or things that you're not doing, but you collaborate on these things, that you can provide more as an ecosystem if the people you're connected to provide value elsewhere. And that is the beauty of what we're trying to showcase. And it sounds like you guys have built a community that is doing that, that is trying to make an impact, that is here for the long term vision. And you know, it sounds like you're being very transparent as well, and that it speaks volumes, because that's all people want. They just want something real, solid, transparent, and genuine that they can believe in and invest in and support and be a part of. And that is what I think solid communities are really built on. So well done, guys. But is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we move over to our next guest?
Well, I do know that you guys had mentioned about a book that you guys are working on. I would love to chat with you guys on that. Possibly get maybe a little participation into that. And then also, if anybody is looking to do a collaboration, we are definitely all ears. We're going to be doing some whitelist giveaways. If anybody would like to join in, in the comments. I don't know how to pin, so my apologies. Anybody that's in chat right now that is not whitelisted, we're going to give you a whitelist. If you jump in Discord, mention either 50 Cal, tag 50 Cal, or Dana, we will get you a whitelist to say thank you for joining the space. Thank you for supporting not only ourselves, but the communities, and just to get you on board. Bring in, say, hey, you're just like with them. You're one of us. If you got the plus, you're one of us. We will be adding the plus to. We just actually got verified here, but I will be throwing the plus in front of the hedge funds just to say thank you and that we support you guys. But yeah, if somebody can pin that Discord comment for me, I would greatly appreciate it, because I'll be honest, that I don't know how to do.
Let's go. You're a legend, and thank you so much. And yeah, just so you know for future, because honestly, the pinning thing, so many people don't know how to do it, and it's not as complicated as you think. Any post on X that you've made, there's a symbol in the bottom right corner, and it's like a bracket led on its back with like an arrow pointing up. You just click that, and then at the very top will be the title of the space you're in, and then you click that, and it pins it to the top of the space if you're on the stage and eligible to pin something. So yeah, any post you've made, you just press the symbol on the bottom right corner of the post, and then at the very top will be the title of the space. You just click that and it'll pin it for you, just so you know for future reference. And as for you adding the plus, that is iconic. We really do appreciate that, because the plus has got a multitude of meanings, which is why we really do appreciate it, because obviously we're advocates for Web3, all of us. We want this industry to still be here 10 years from now. And it's a way that we can say that we're together by being separate communities and ecosystems. Like, for example, you guys, you've all got your profile pictures, so we all know what community you guys support. But with a plus next to your name, you also said we also stand by all of the other projects in Web3 that are trying to build something of value. That we advocate for mental health as well, which is another thing that the plus represents. And also we stand by one another as well. So we want to showcase that. We want to showcase that everyone has value, regardless of their skill set. There's people in your community right now that are adding value, and they don't all do the same thing. People make content. Some people just show up and love the community and just want to be a part of the community, and that adds value. They share the posts. You got the people that build the stuff. You got the people that utilize the stuff, and both are valuable because they're both needed at different times. So we want to represent everyone of having some form of value, because what it is that you're capable of is undetermined until you discover what it is you're passionate about, and then you learn about it. You put yourself in the positions and be around the people that see the value in you, and you realize that you are more than what you think you are. So yeah, the plus represents a multitude of things, but one of the things it most definitely stands for, stronger than anything else, is the togetherness and the unity of different people building in the same industry. And if we want global adoption, we want people to come here and see different brands and businesses cooperating with one another, even if they don't collaborate directly, but having a love and respect for each other in a way that makes people want to stick around to find out what is Hedgefunz all about, what do they do. I don't have to worry about, I support a different community, and I don't have to be worrying about whether they vibe with you or not, because we know that there's no tension between, because there's a level of respect from both parties that say that we don't work together, we don't really operate in the same areas, but we respect them, they respect us, and it's all love. And that, and the only way to help this make sense is when you go to buy a movie, you don't think, oh well, I've already got 10 films at home, so I can't really buy an 11th. No one does that with crypto or NFTs either. No one says, oh, I really would have bought into that project, but I already hold 10 of the tokens. So there's no reason why communities should be token gated when they should feel comfortable to be wherever they wish to be, and there's all love regardless of that fact. So yeah, the plus has a very deep meaning, and we appreciate anyone that adopts it, and we support to the best of our ability anyone that wants to support this amazing movement of people. So yeah, and as for the book, I'm happy to explain that anytime as well, so thank you for that as well.
My neighbour's playing some absolute bangers at the moment. They're the right old party. I don't know if you can hear it in the background.
No,
Hopefully
what are you
not.
playing?
I don't know what it's called. It's some dance track from a little while back.
But yeah, so what I'll quickly do then, I will quickly explain what the book is, and then we will move over to our next guest, if that is okay.
Yeah, it's fine by me. Appreciate you guys having us. I'm more than happy to answer any questions as well that you have about us, the community, the project, what we have on the roadmap, any of that as well. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you guys all follow the host, the speakers, and the co-host. Collaboration is teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, well said, my friend. I completely agree that 100% collaboration over competition every single time. I mean, of course, healthy competition is always good, and we all know what type of competition we mean by that. That is always great. As long as there's love and respect there, then no one can go wrong whatsoever. Bacon, I don't know if you got any questions that you want to ask before we quickly dive into the book.
No questions. But yeah, cheers, guys. It was really good to get to know what you guys are up to. Because you turned up a couple of weeks ago with a bunch of friends. I was like, who are these guys? Where have these guys come from? And it's good to know. It's old 50 Cal and his plan. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, because sometimes people see all of the profile pictures and are like, are they bots? It's like, no, it's just a diehard community coming to show you who they are. And I love that because, you can wear that brand with pride because it means something to all of you guys. And that's why we appreciate you coming and telling us the message, like, what do you guys stand for? What does this all mean? And then, anyone who's in the community, never write anything off without looking into it first. Just take the time, just check out the website, join the Discord, have a look, because you never know what you might find, the people you might find, and you don't know the value that may come of it, because that is what makes Web3 what it is that we can collaborate in different ways that, that benefit both sides, but also you can find opportunities that you didn't know was available. And that is one of the things I love personally the most about a great ecosystem, is that from the success of the project comes opportunity for the community to step up and play their part in building out this ecosystem that's designed to add value to everyone that supports it. So, there's definitely something to look into to find out more about what it is that you're doing. So we appreciate you coming and showing us what that is. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean, as in a message, like I felt bad, like a terrible friend. You get so busy with life, and everybody knows how it is. Like you get busy doing one thing, you get sidetracked, and you kind of lose track of like your original foundation. The people that were around when you originally first became a part of something. And that honestly was Bacon. That's you. That's Mickey. Tony. Like it's you guys that I first got to get to know through TikTok, through crypto talk. You get sidetracked with real life, and you know I wanted to show our community over here that like this community is real. They're just as 100% as what ski is. And that's why I was like, hey, let's go raid this. Let's go hang out here. Because you guys deserve it. I don't believe that you guys get enough recognition as a whole for what you do for everybody else. And you don't get your flowers like I believe you should. So,
Yeah, well, thank you, bro. That honestly means a lot. And, we are that friend that you can not speak to for 5 years and then we'll talk as if we spoke yesterday. We just want to see you do well and you're doing well. And that's put a massive smile on my face. And I'm sure it's the same for Tricky, Tony, and Bacon as well. Crypto tour. So don't ever worry about that, because there's so many people that we've known for years, and some we haven't spoken to for a minute, some that we've caught up with, and some we're still yet to catch up with. But all of which still have got the same love for each other. They're just out on their journey, finding their own path and purpose in the industry, and we love to see it. We love to see what you've accomplished, where you're at, what you're doing, who that's with. And the beauty of that is when we do reconnect, we get to reconnect with everything that we've accomplished and everything that we've become, which just makes it even more powerful. So it's been great to connect with you and see that you're doing something that you're passionate about, that means something to you, and that you can showcase to us and us to you. So yeah, for me, that's a massive win in my opinion. So we're nothing but proud of you, my friend.
Last thing I will touch on and say is don't think for a minute that I forgot about you, Mr. Tricky Buddha from the Space Donkeys. I only mentioned, Bacon and Mickey and Tony because I've known them for multiple years, but Tricky is another great human being all around. He pops around a lot of different spaces. But yes, I did not forget about you, Tricky. I just mentioned those guys only because I've known them for so long, and I've kind of gotten like lost in touch with those guys. So by no means do I mean any offense towards you, Tricky. Much love to you, sir.
Yeah, legend. Appreciate that, and I'm sure Tricky will appreciate that too. I know that he's over in Washington, probably mid-party right now, dancing away with his 95-year-old grandma that's probably got more life and energy in her than he has. But no, we appreciate you, bro, and thank you for bringing your community over here to connect with us. We will only get bigger and stronger as a result. And I always say this in every space, no one ever lost anything showing love to anyone else. So we appreciate that, my friend. I will quickly dive into the book just for anyone who doesn't know what it is. I will be really, really quick, and then we will move over to our amazingly patient guest, Gold One, who I was so excited to speak to. So the project that we have is the Community of Communities is an NFT book, which is a collaborative project to showcase the true value of the Web3 space when it comes to collaboration over competition. We wanted to build something that showcases something that we can all work on together, that showcases everyone, but is one thing, so that there's one thing that we can all point at to say that we're collaborated, and to help this be conceptualized for anyone that doesn't understand it or doesn't know anything about it. Imagine that your NFT character can play a role in a story that we're telling. And currently, there's 36 projects that are in the book. So far, there's 36 projects that have collaborated on this one story, which for us is our piece of blockchain history. So this will be a story that we can read to our children. It will be an NFT, but it will also be a physical book as well, which is what we find really exciting about it, is that once story's been completed, because we are soon going to be putting a time limit on who can get involved in the project. I think there's around 18 pages left. It might even be 17 now. And then we're going to put a deadline on when we're going to put that to a close. So we'll either burn the pages that are remaining, or we will just bring an end to the opportunity for people to get involved. We started off with 100 pages. We've burned some, and the rest have been purchased, because projects can purchase 1 or 2 pages. They are 150 Polygon Matic per page, and what we're trying to accomplish is proving that collaboration is more powerful than competition. We want to create something that we can all be proud of. We can lift this up together, and we want to effectively utilize our network to help projects get maximum exposure for as little barrier to entry as possible. And just to help that make sense, we over the last 3+ years have grown a network that are incredible people, projects, businesses, brands, ecosystems, communities, and we want to collaborate with all of that to build something of value to showcase the value of Web3. And as an example, we are fortunate to know the Crypto magazine, which the book will be featured in the magazine, and it's the largest crypto publication that is currently available in 23 countries globally, and the top 100 luxurious hotels and 2 airports, I believe. So we're really excited about that, which is just one network that we are able to utilize to showcase this book. Also, there's 36 projects involved as well who will also showcase the book, and we will be making the actual NFT that will be created from the collaboration very affordable for the community to be able to purchase as a collectible, which is what we want this to be. It's not something that we're going to create to try and make money. It's designed to help us on our journey, help us stay in the industry, and help us build something that we believe will add more value to Web3. For example, this platform that we've created that we are speaking on right now, it is to showcase people who are building in the industry. It gives people the opportunity to learn about brands and businesses and projects and people, and we want the book to represent that as well. So we want to utilize all of the creativity and the collaborations that we have to make this. We're also collaborated with Hungry Animals as well, who are building the Hungryverse. So they're building an RPG game, which we're really excited about. They've been building for a multitude of years now. The founder has been in the animation industry for a quarter of a century, so he's very experienced, very knowledgeable, very well connected, and he is helping us create the book itself. And it's also been integrated into the Hungryverse as well. And to date, so far, anyone who purchased a page in the book also earned themselves a Chet Pass, which is a membership pass for the Hungry Animals ecosystem, Chet being an actual character in the ecosystem. But they have a lifetime membership to the Hungryverse. They have early access to the beta of the game when it's ready, which will be very soon. It also is a fully rigged 3D avatar, which you have IP ownership over. So if you have one of these passes, not only is the pass an NFT, but you also get a fully rigged 3D avatar that you can utilize in whatever metaverse you can scan it into. But it also is the 3D avatar that you'll be able to use in the game. And there's only ever going to be 1,000 of these ever created. So the first 1,000 people who got these will be the only people who have them. So we're really excited about that. And the point is that I'm making is we're trying to add as much utility to this as humanly possible. We're going to be creating a series of 10 books, and this is book 1. And this is an ever-evolving ecosystem. So as we progress through our journey in Web3, we will be continuously adding value and making this something that we can celebrate for the whole time. The community's core team are fully doxed. We've been around for 3+ years. We've connected with amazing people like 50 Cal, aka Hedgefunz. I can see the plus next to your name. What a legend! I will say, I know that people lose the tick when they add the plus. You don't lose the perks that come with the tick. You just lose the visibility of the tick for a short period of time, but then it does come back again. So thank you for taking that sacrifice to add the plus to your name. That is awesome. So yeah, so the NFT book is designed to showcase collaboration. It's something that we can get involved with and interact with. It's going to be a great networking opportunity, because if you get involved in the book, you're standing alongside 36 different communities and projects. And once we put this together and put it out to the world, you can read this story to your children. And as you read it, if you know the other ecosystems like we do, you can dive into what each ecosystem is, what they do, what their purpose is, what they're trying to accomplish, the amazing things that they've done. There's some solid brands that are already in the book. That there's brands from the 90s, Hollywood film producers, projects that have been conceptualized and built in and solely in Web3. There are some Web2 brands as well, but there's definitely ways in which all these different projects and brands can add value to this book to make it an amazing, beneficial thing for everyone involved. So we're really excited about it. I will shut up about it now, but thank you for listening to that. If you want more information, you can check out our website, which is just communityofcommunities.xyz. That is on my profile. If you click on my profile picture, just to make it easier to find where you'll find the team, the project, the raffle that we currently have on our website, which is a $15 raffle where you can try your luck to win one of the pages. And also the information about the spaces that we host as well, if anyone else wants to be featured. But I won't leave Gold One waiting any longer. Massive thank you to Solnic Coin, to Hedgefunz, to 50 Cal, and to all of the community that joined to show love and support as well. We do honestly appreciate what you guys are doing to add value to one another and to add value to us as well. So without further ado, I will move over to none other than Gold One. Thank you so much for your patience, sir. Happy Saturday. How are we, brother?
Yeah, bro, all good, man. All good, all good, all good. I've been just sitting in there listening and working on some other bits in the background, bro, but all good. All
Awesome.
good.
Yeah. Thank you for your
Yeah.
patience, bro. You know, I know it's probably painful, but I'm glad you've been working on stuff in the background as well, because at least that way, you know, you're getting some bits done in the meantime. But, you know, Web3 never sleeps, does it? You know, this is why we're so passionate, because you know, a lot of people have been building whilst doing jobs, being dads, husbands, building their own life as well.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Exactly that. And it's like, I think every space I'm in, even when I'm like managing other spaces and stuff like that, you know, on other accounts or whatever, you know, it's like sometimes your space just could be going on and on and on, you know, like 4 hours or whatever, and you're in there, right? Like, so yeah, I'm pretty much used to it though, man. Like, it's all part and parcel of the space, man. And if you don't sit down and listen, sometimes then you don't really clock what's going on. You don't really see, you know, what's going on around you. So definitely always good to listen and just observe in it sometimes, you know, which I've definitely done for a long time in the space. So yeah.
So when I met you, you were on stage with Tommy D, who's a good friend of mine. It was him and Sarah that invited me to come to the event as well. So it was good. The music artists were great as well. I think you saw them guys. But I'm going to embarrass you here. When you came off stage, you were so sort of hyped. We went to what we thought was a quiet corner of the venue, but ended up like half the room was staring at the back of your head because you were speaking so loud. I couldn't find a polite opportunity to like interrupt you because you were like such on a roll.
Yeah, it was hype, man. Definitely hype. You know, I know Erhan and the boys over there wanted to get more people at that time and fitted into the venue because it was like the middle of the bear market. like if you could have picked a point that was probably at the, you know, the bottom. That was literally at the bottom of the bear market, right? So yeah, I know it wasn't as full as it normally was, and I think it was the first one that they had done since the pandemic as well. So, the first live one, because they did an online one the year before, didn't they? So yeah, but I mean, I still loved it anyway, man. I always like performing all the time, so it's not a problem, man. It was good, man. Definitely enjoyed it, and Tommy's great as well. Like, you know, I'm always jumping in and out of Tommy's spaces. And he's definitely an OG as well, been around for quite a long time in the space. So, you know, like, always respect people building everything, man. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Builders are builders in the end of the day, and we're all tinkerers in that respect, in that we all get curious and wanna build stuff. So, you know, always respecting people building stuff, man.
So let's talk about the music. What are you doing with the music? Like, how are you getting it out there?
Yeah, so at the moment, like, I think let me dial it back a little bit and kind of maybe tell you how I got into the space first of all, and then kind of move on to how it's kind of, I would say, come back around to music more than me kind of just, you know, putting music
That's
out.
perfect because we
Um,
quite often ask a question where it's like, oh, you know, sort of tell us about what got you into Web3. Like, how did you get here? Jokes.
yeah, man. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so I've been around, like, all right. So personally, I got into the space around 2014. I would say like, not properly, but I would say I really started to explore. Like 2013, I heard of Bitcoin probably about a little bit before 2013, but kind of just passed it off. You know, like, I'd been on the dark web before. You know, it was like, okay, you know, this is something else that's happening on the dark web, whatever it is. Didn't really pay much attention to it. Then 2013, I always say to people, this is the kind of point where I realized kind of what Bitcoin could be, which is like 2013, watching fucking Al Jazeera. No, it wasn't Al Jazeera. It was a Russia Today. Sorry, Max Kaiser, the Kaiser report, and you know, he had a developer that was, you know, doing some stuff with Bitcoin Core, and he was talking about Bitcoin on the show, and he was arguing against this economist guy that, you know, used to be, like, I think, an advisor to Donald Trump or something like that, and yeah, like, he just basically in that conversation put forward the points about what Bitcoin was that made it relevant, and not just, hey, this is just like some Second Life shit. Funnily enough, Second Life is probably where a lot of the Bitcoiners were in those early days. You know, for, was it Liberty tokens or whatever it was, Liberty Cash, Liberty dollars, that was it. On Second Life, you know. And if you're, I don't know how old everyone is in here, but I'm old enough to know that Second Life was pretty much like the first kind of like MMO on the internet. Do you understand? Where like you could go and build a house and live your life like it was a Second Life in like this virtual world. And obviously, I didn't put the two together at the time, but it was just the notion in my head that hey, this is like that Liberty Dollar shit. Sounds like that. And I kind of left it for probably about a year or so, and then one day I think I was in the studio because at this point I was already I've been doing music since I was 9 years old, like so I've been around, I should say to you, but I was in the studio with a mate of mine, and we were like one of the same guys that I was with that night. And we were like, hey, I wonder what's going on with like this Bitcoin thing, like we need to kind of like learn what's going on now. I think somebody was telling us about Forex or something like that. And then we were like, hey, like what's going on with that Bitcoin stuff, So so we went and we started looking up like more about Bitcoin. At this point, I don't think Coinbase hadn't dropped yet. So it was like new. It was like Coinbase is coming, this new way of being able to buy Bitcoin or like, because at that time, I don't know how many people in here have used a blockchain.com wallet or if you've used blockchain.com, but at that time, Coinbase was pretty much just like a wallet that you could buy crypto or you could buy Bitcoin through. So for us, it was like, okay, look, well, maybe we wait until this Coinbase thing comes around, and in between time, we can, just do a bit of research. So we start watching like videos, start digging through online. We find Bitcoin Talk, we start digging through there, read the white paper, and then it's like, fuck, like this is crazy shit. And then I think the first video that we watched after reading the white paper was Andreas Antonopoulos' speech. I think it was in London at a university. And it was like fuck, like he like explained blockchain and what Bitcoin was, and it was like, my god, like this is gonna like change everything, like. And there were some points that the guys made, I think Sonic made earlier on, about the system and being different from the system, like, and this is what this space is all about for me anyway. And I feel for a lot of the guys that were pretty early Bitcoiners, is that this is the ethos of the space, that this is the space. Outside of everything else, it's against what we've previously known as a monetary system, which is controlled obviously by central bankers, and this is kind of something that gives power back to the people. So it wasn't until maybe, I think like after that, we were like, Coinbase, we couldn't access it, as I said. So it was like, okay, what do we do to get some Bitcoin? So we start looking around online, and in those days, again, if you're from those days, you'll know that faucets was like a big thing back then. Like now, everybody's like, oh, testnet faucet. Like, yeah, they were giving away real sats, like on faucets right back then, like actual Bitcoin. So we started like just collecting, like finding all the faucets we could find to just get as much Bitcoin as we could. And Coinbase introduced the buying, as I said, but it was only with Amex cards at the time. So it was like, fuck, we're locked out. We're like, how the fuck we get this shit? Like, maybe we'll do some mining, right? And at the time, I was working in VoIP communications. So at my office, they cleaned out like the old server room, and there was like loads of servers that they had cleaned out of there. And I literally, like, I was driving like a Honda Coupe at the time, right? And I literally put all of the servers, my car was literally down to the ground almost, right? I took all the servers into my whip, drove home, and then like we start setting up all these servers now. And this was again just before ASICs like took over. So we start like setting up these servers to start mining, right? Again, there was no, at this point, there's still no like Ethereum, I don't think hasn't even gone live yet. So there was no like GPU mining and all of that. Like GPU mining was like something that was theorized basically at that point. So we start like trying to mine Bitcoin, and it was like, oh, this is shit. This is just not working. ASICs are like the way to go, and whatever. Like this is just not working for us. And then at the same time, we start buying off of like local Bitcoins, like and whatever, and just like getting as much basically sats as we could. so back then, again, it wasn't all of this other shit. It wasn't about all of this other shit. There was nothing else going on. Like, it was just literally, hey, we're gonna buy this stuff and we're gonna build stuff here, and hopefully we can build, like things here, right? Like, platforms or whatever it is, apps, whatever. Um, and coming from the music space, the first thing that came to our heads anyway was music royalties would be like absolutely massive on the blockchain, like, and it would create a situation where people would be able to own their masters and also be able to control the distribution of their music themselves without nobody being able to step in between. Um, so so for us, like, that was kind of like the first idea that we was like, yeah, we're gonna run with that. Like, hey, let's like build something for music, and we start doing research, and it's like, hey, at the time, I mean, people think music and blockchain and whatever is brand new, but even back then, there was already like the major organizations, like I'm talking ASCAP, PRS, all of them were already talking about. There's a guy, a producer called Benji Loco, like, he was the one who led this project called Dot Blockchain Music at the time, and that was like the first ever kind of music consortium that came about, for music on the blockchain. And then in between that time, you had like Jay Skrilla come out with like, he started doing music like Counterparty and Bitcoin, and it was like, that was just mind blowing at the time, because obviously we're making hip hop, we're making drum and bass, we're making dancehall, we're making all of that style of music. So for us, like, seeing him do that was like, fuck, this is like crazy shit. Like, how do we get to there? But then other shit gets in the way. Life gets in the way, as we all said. Everyone's here learning, and it's not easy to learn. It doesn't. Everyone will say, yeah, we'll give you an NFT, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. It makes it easy to learn. None of this shit is not easy to learn, right? It's not easy to learn, right? And if anyone believes that it is, like, it's a lie, because there's no experts in this space. I often say this to people: there's no fucking experts in this space. Yeah. The experts are guys that were here in 2009, 2011, 2012, 2000, before me. Do you understand? Basically, that's the guys who I call experts. If you didn't come here before I got here, like, I can't call you an expert unless you show me something that you've done unless you show me a Bitcoin improvement proposal that was accepted by the Bitcoin development community. You're not an expert, my guy. Do you understand? You're a professional, right? So that's it. So what kind of ended up happening, right? Again, a couple of years passed by. It's like 2016. I moved around a lot. I had a lot of personal shit going on, and I kind of like left London for a while. I came back to London at the end of 2016, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna get really serious about this Bitcoin stuff, and I'm gonna start like buying like lots of Bitcoin. And obviously I wasn't working at the same place anymore, so I'm back in London, fucking, last bit of dough or whatever, and I'm like, shit, I'm gonna keep buying this Bitcoin stuff, right? And just keep going on and just learning more about it. And then when it got to like probably beginning 2017, just before the bull run started to kind of kick in, we were buying like all of this other stuff. I think even in 2015, like late 2015, we were buying like Dash and Monero and Ethereum and Litecoin and whatever. And what I always say to people is, back then and still now, it rings true, that people were literally just trading that stuff to make more sats, right? And regardless of what anyone wants to think, I know some of you here might have a difference of opinion, because yes, I am a fucking Bitcoin maxi, and we're all fucking Bitcoin maxis, because none of us wouldn't be fucking here if it weren't for Bitcoin. And if you don't want Bitcoin to succeed, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah, right. So what I'm saying is, this is like, at the time, yeah, like, people were literally like, all of these projects were just tests, right? So that's why I'm not like your traditional Bitcoin purist maxi, like, hey, fuck you, you're doing the shitcoin, whatever, right? That's why I'm not like that, right? Because I came in an era where this stuff was new and people were building stuff. So it's like how it is now, like where if people are saying, make Bitcoin fun again and the rest of it. Like that was all going on. People were, Litecoin, we were all like, yeah, like Litecoin's going to be like really, really good for like people to use as a faster network to Bitcoin. Maybe it's not as secure as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is where you kind of end up back at the end of the day. And that kind of brings me back to my point about the system and how the system works. Like we're all here, we all getting money and all of the rest of it. But like, what money are you getting? It's what I say to people often, like, what money are you getting? Because if you're not changing it back into sats, you're not outside of the system. You're still inside of the same fucking system. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And that's the point that purist Bitcoiners have got right, that everybody else who doesn't believe that has got wrong. And if you just look at, I always say to people, if you're here for 2 cycles, you know what's going on, right? For 2 complete cycles, you know what's going on, right? Because you can see that where liquidity gets drained to is just Bitcoin at the end of the day, because Bitcoin eats everything at the end of the day, right? And people might want to argue and say, think this has got a utility and that's got a utility. Great. None of them have got a utility as ultra fucking, Ethereum even tried to do ultrasound money and it didn't work, did it? Right? Still hasn't worked, right? So in terms of a store of value, no, I don't think anybody argues with Bitcoin in that sense. And I think medium of exchange is obviously coming through now. So I say all of that to say this, right? So all of that time I spent again, like, kind of like learning. 2017, I was teaching local businesses how to accept Bitcoin. So this is like over 100 local businesses, just walking up and down into local areas in London, speaking to shopkeepers, speaking to people, getting them to just accept Bitcoin, right? And I think we must have been at like 70 something or something before one guy was like, hey, you know what, like, guys, like, I really want you to come in and speak to all of my staff members about this stuff, because I want to implement this in my business, like, properly, right? So, and at that time we were using an exchange called Zappo. I know it's still alive now, but that was like really popular because they were the first ones to come out with having like a debit card, basically, that you could just, go and buy stuff with your Bitcoin, right? So we were just onboarding people that way, just speaking to them and onboarding people and just getting referrals. We were happy getting those sats because for us it was just like spare time shit. I'm trying to say. And we were, it's like the noble mission, isn't it? Like getting people out of the space, educating people. So I often say I'm a Bitcoin educator in that sense, more than a consultant. But yeah, so again, just started like teaching all of these local businesses. This one guy's just like, hey, come and teach my staff. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to pay you guys. Like, you were here for like 4 hours talking about this stuff. And you've given me all of this, websites and all these references. And I know, and we're just like, hey, this shit's free online. You can go and find it. He's like, no. Like, I'm going to pay you guys, right? So he pays us like 600 quid for the time. And he's like, I don't want to hear that you guys didn't get paid for this shit again, because I know that you guys know this shit inside out. So you should start up a consultancy. And that's when, kind of like about a month later, we were like, okay, let's kind of, try our hand at being independent consultants. And that led me into kind of being in the space all the way from 2017 round to probably the end of the pandemic. End of the pandemic, I think I was, I was still buying, still accumulating and whatever. But I took a bit of time out of the space. I think everybody did to some degree during the pandemic because there was other shit going on, right? And then during just before like 2021, I said to myself, I'm going to jump back into the space. I'm going to start building some shit, which started with like a kind of like putting the physical with the digital. So digital, I think like months before anybody was at least talking about doing digital stuff or had that word. And we were like, oh, like, let's try and do something with fashion. And then from there, I kind of saw what was going on with NFTs, everything else. But again, for me, it was like, hey, Counterparty, you already did this. Like, all of this stuff that people see today has already been done. Yeah, like on Bitcoin, right? Like, so it's like, why am I going to jump around in this space? Like, I've holdings. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Again, like I said, I do a bit of DJing, but I kind of felt like educating people going forward, I shouldn't be educating people with all this fucking everything else, because it doesn't make sense. person understands Bitcoin, they understand everything else. Do you understand? You can't make a person that understands everything else understand Bitcoin easily, but you can make a person that understands Bitcoin understand everything else very easily. Yeah, right. And that for me, again, and for all of the people that I've met, during that journey time, has always kind of been the thing. And I think that's even more prevalent now where we are, because where we are now is, back at Bitcoin practically, same like every cycle really that I've seen since I've been here. So yeah, so that kind of spurred me on to, like, later on, where I was like, hey, I want to like dive back into music, which is bringing us up to current day. Sorry, I know I went on a bit long there, but I've been around for a long time. I feel like a dinosaur now.
I was just talking to a muted mic there. I do apologise, bro. I do that all too often, I'm not going to lie. But, bro, that is incredible. I mean, it's mad how we end up in positions like that, but it's amazing that you was given the opportunity to educate. But the fact that there was any business willing to be entertained by something everyone else just brushes off, I think is absolutely phenomenal. Because not many businesses would do that, So just going back to the business side of it, how long have you been in Web3 for, and known about crypto?
So in total, as I said, since like 2013, 2014 is my total journey. So I'd say 11 years now. But since 2017 is when we started the consultancy. So around 8 years, coming up to 8 years, where I've been worked with different projects. I've done a bit of advisory. I've done a bit of marketing work. I was working a bit with cannabis and blockchain for a little while, for a few months just before the pandemic. But yeah, like overall around 8 years professionally.
That's incredible. I mean, fair play for persevering that long. Because that's like, for me, I always say a year in Web3 is like 10 years in IRL.
That's the thing, and the thing is, even when you said about like the business stuff, sometimes I look back and I have to laugh, because like literally back then there was none of this hype. There was like zero hype to talk to a business, like to talk to anybody. Best believe, like my two uncles, one used to work for BT, doing systems design, and the other one was a Unix developer at Apple, right? And they basically got me into fucking computing from when I was a kid, right? And even these guys were laughing at me in 2015. At 2016, they didn't even buy any Bitcoin until 2021. Do you
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
me, right? So it's like back then, yeah, like there was like no,
Yeah.
but like really, if people feel like, trust me, like anyone that's in here that feels like you're late to the party, you are so fucking early. You are so fucking early, because the fact that people still say that, hey, nobody really cares, or hey, we're talking to people and they don't understand, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like back when we were fucking like just
I
first
mean, I
starting.
feel like I've been in this industry
Oh,
forever,
mate.
and like I've only been here for just over 3 years. I did a video not so long ago, and this was when I'd been here for over 2 years. And I said, after being in crypto for over 2 years, I've realized that I know absolutely nothing. Like I know so little about this industry, it's laughable. But I never came here to be an expert, and I never claimed to be, because I'll never be one. But what I wanted to do was surround myself around people who did know what they were talking about. And that was like why we love these spaces, because we get to speak to people that have been here for, like you have, over a decade, that have got this experience, that we can learn from it, because we're humble people that just want to show that there is value. We see that we are early, even though I still feel like we're a little late, but that's only because I'm super passionate about it. And I just wish I was here 10 years ago, because had I heard about it then, I would have been doing what I'm doing now then. So you're absolutely right.
But the
It
crazy
is
thing,
early.
the crazy thing is, you saying that, right, is like hindsight is always 2020, as the saying goes, isn't it, right? So everybody says that shit. Like everybody says that shit. But I haven't met an OG yet that hasn't lost their entire Bitcoin stash or spent their entire Bitcoin stash. Like there's only very, very few people, like a 0.001% of guys that can tell you, hey, they've held sats all the way from like 2010 or some shit like that. Like, you know, like that's just bullshit. Like most people, like even the super duper OGs, like they've lost all of their Bitcoin at one point. They spent all of their Bitcoin at one point. Do you understand, right? So like so yeah, like it definitely does happen it is cyclical, it does happen in cycles. You know, but as I said, I think as I said, my kind of view of it, and I think you'll find that if you speak to most people that's been around for at least 2 cycles, they will tell you the same thing that I'm saying, is that like unless you're here for 2 cycles, you kind of don't really get it yet, right? And I'd say the only exceptions for those, there's very few exceptions from those, like the guys who really, really understand markets, yeah, really, really understand them on a deep level, or the guys who are really, really understand like cypherpunk ethos and like, you know, developers, like, you know, really hardcore fucking don't come out of mom's basement developers. Do you understand, right? Those are the guys who like really get this shit within like their first cycle, like really 100% get it. But nobody else, I don't say, wouldn't get it until their second cycle. I mean, my first cycle, as I just said, was the bear market following Mt. Gox into the very short kind of like intro into the bull market of 2017, and then like 2021, and even after 2021, like, you know, I would still, if I speak to some people, some of the OGs, I'm like, fam, you know, I still don't get some of the stuff. Like, I must not get like this part of it, or, you know, that I haven't explored maybe too deeply before, you know. But I think the one thing that and again, it's the same with like the releases that I'm doing at the moment, and kind of this music that I'm doing with Bitcoin. The one thing that I think resonates across the board is that you cannot get away from the fact that Bitcoin is the escape that everybody's looking for. Do you understand, right? Like everything else is a way to get you to Bitcoin. Do you understand? It's not. Again, I don't want to be like a super maxi purist, right? I'm not stamping on innovation. Like everyone's going to do what they're going to do. People are going to buy what they're going to buy. People are going to sell what they're going to sell, right? And every fucking sell has got a buyer at some point, right? At some point. But, you know, in the end of the day, I think that the miscommunication that happens in education with onboarding regular people, why people fall victim to scams very easily nowadays, why people fall victim to rug pulls very easy, is because they don't even understand what this shit's about. Most of them are like coming here, and I know you guys mentioned this earlier, most people are coming here wanting to make money, yeah, right? So if you're coming here and you want to make money, great. But once you've made that fiat money, where does it go? Do you understand? When you understand the ethos of this space, you understand what this space is about and why Bitcoin as an innovation was here, because everything else is just a copy and paste of the same thing over and over and over again, basically, right? Yeah. Just trying a different method of doing it. And nothing else has been as proven as Bitcoin, as doing what everything here is supposed to do. So in that space of time, like if you're only concentrating on the fiat gains, you're defeating the purpose of why you're even here, why the space even exists in the first place. The fiat gains is like the stepping stone. Do you understand? It's like the stepping stone to, as I said, even in the early altcoin days, it's all a stepping stone to acquiring more Bitcoin. Yeah, fucking whales, super duper whales, are not out here trying to acquire fucking whatever token long term, bro. They're not doing it. Do you understand? They're selling, they're buying low and they're selling high to buy more fucking Bitcoin. That's it. Do you understand? And like when you I know like some of you might want to dispute this, but I mean, it's very clear. If you just bring up like, you don't have to look at a chart. You can just look at the fucking market dominance of Bitcoin and how that works, right?
No, I think you're right.
Look at
I think you're right.
you know. So it's like looking at the TVL. Sorry, but just last point here. But it's looking at the overall TVL. Like in the last bull run, at the end of the last bull run, coming into this bear market, I had loads of people like, oh yeah, you're talking shit, bro. And bro, this Ethereum's got so much TVL. Like, bro, Ethereum's got lots of TVL spread across however many layer 2s, bro. Thousands of layer 2s, whatever you want to call it, right? Thousands of coins and NFTs and whatever, hundreds, thousands, millions now, right? And here we got is Bitcoin, one coin, one ecosystem, one purpose, sits over here and just always is attracting market dominance. Why? Because it is the long-term bet. It is the outside of the system. Nobody's here to talk about outside of the system before this innovation was created. And as I said, everything built after that is really just trying to either do what that does or have a portion of that market share. Do you understand? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, and I agree and I disagree. I agree 100% with that's the play, is to utilize the rest of the industry to acquire Bitcoin, because that's supposed to be the plan, isn't it? You're supposed to accumulate the value from other projects to filter it back into Bitcoin, which is almost like instead of converting it back to fiat, it's never supposed to go back to fiat if you're using the industry correctly. It's always supposed to fall back to Bitcoin, because that is the backbone of the entire industry. It's the decider of what direction it goes in. It's the initial creation of the entire industry. So I totally agree with that 100%. But I do think there will be projects and ecosystems that will build something similar that they can also fall back on. But there isn't going to be a safer bet than Bitcoin until there's been another decade of the industry where there's an ecosystem that's been around for a long time that's proven itself. So I do agree, but I also feel that there probably will be ecosystems that will mimic that reliability. And I think the tough thing for most people who are still learning is not knowing the creators of Bitcoin, and there being that level of secrecy of where did it come from, who was behind it. And I mean, I know that some people have figured it out. I mean, Bacon could have even have met Satoshi himself. He's got a great story around that. Definitely check out his TikTok. There is a great story about someone he met that really does resemble that situation. But no, I appreciate what you're saying, because it's hard for people to hear that sometimes, and it's a shame, because I know that you say it from a place of love. You're just trying to tell people this is what it is. That's just the truth, and it's not always what you want to hear. But you know that, and you're right about people are here for money. Whales are here to accumulate. VCs just want to push value into tokens to use you as exit liquidity, and it's a shame that people's lack of understanding will be used against them, which is why we always try and say that the money you make won't be from your investments. It'll be from the research that you make and learning how to research, because it's what you know and what you understand is what will make you the most money. So I appreciate you saying that, bro, 100%.
Yeah, and that's it, bro. It's like, you know, look, everyone's got skill sets, and the thing is, in a decentralized space, right, you can really actually leverage your skills. So that's the other side of, like, you know, why some of us are here, right? Like, is, hey, I can kind of do what I want over here. I can really leverage whatever I'm building. I can really leverage whatever my skill set is, you know. And I can choose to accept any one of these tokens or currencies or NFTs or whatever it is, because that's what I value, you know, to myself, and that's what there is an ecosystem of people valuing, right? Definitely agree with that, and that's what I'm saying. That's why, like, I'm not like super Bitcoin purist, although some of the talk might come across as though, hey, I'm bashing everything else, or I'm just calling everybody shitcoiners, and I'm doing what the rest of the maxis do. It might sound like that, right? But it's certainly not that. I'm just a realist. You understand? In the end of the day,
Yeah,
and
100%.
when real is real, when we talk about that longevity, like you said, of other things, like 10 years from now, so on and so forth, there will be things that will prove themselves to be reliable, as certain things have, right, over time, to a certain degree. But as you said, to be as secure and as reliable as Bitcoin is, until the real thing that will, let's say, make that change, let's say where something else, or as Eth Maxis like to call it, the flippening happens, you have to see a failure in Bitcoin, like like a really big failure, like not high gas fees, right? Yeah, like a really fucking big failure. And And I've had people argue that with me before, like, hey, no, because you know this, that, and this utility and smart contracts and every other fucking thing in the book, right? But the fundamental reason why is because the basis of the blockchain, a blockchain itself, any blockchain, is what? Yeah, is that the longest version of consensus on that chain is what wins. Yeah, right. Now, so far, unless you're going to tell me that there's an older blockchain than Bitcoin that is as secure and as reliable and as Bitcoin has had at least less downtime as Bitcoin, no rollbacks like Bitcoin, do you understand? Unless you're going to be able to show me that, then Bitcoin's the longest chain, isn't it? Do you understand? Where everybody already agrees and nobody has gripes. You know, not that they don't have gripes, because you know there's always arguments going on in every fucking bit of the space, but you know. It works for what it should do. Do you understand? And it enables us to be able to leave, let's say, the economic system for a decentralized medium. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think Hedgefunz wants to jump in with a comment.
Hey, sorry to jump in. I just wanted to throw this out there to you because you mentioned about the longest Bitcoin or the longest, chain running, whatnot. Now, this will sound like I'm coming from the XRP army, but it's not. Do you also know that David Schwartz has the oldest patent on blockchain technology going back into the 80s? So I do believe that there is something that was created before Bitcoin itself. That being said, I also don't believe that Satoshi Nakamoto is one sole person. I do believe it's a group of people, which is why another reason the address of Bitcoin from Satoshi has not been activated, because it's multiple people that have that one link. And I'll mute. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Definitely. I mean, yeah. And I have heard of that. And there are. I think what I think, again, this is where it kind of comes down to, again, like fundamental kind of understanding of, like, all right. So if I was to ask this question, which this is what I've been doing recently, I ask most people, like, what is the difference? Yeah. Like, what is a blockchain called? Sorry, without a consensus mechanism.
Say that again. Sorry.
What is a block? What do you call a blockchain without a consensus mechanism?
Well, it's just a data chain.
It's a linked list. That's all, right? So what I'm saying is, having a pattern, and again, remember that we're in an open source space, right? I just say that, right? Yeah. So again, open, permissionless, yeah, immutable, right? Like, these are the three principles that come up with, the invention of Bitcoin, right? Yeah. So the consensus mechanism and the proof of work consensus mechanism specifically, and the way that it works, did not exist before Bitcoin. So in terms of the other inventions like eCash and eGold and all of the other stuff that was built before Bitcoin, none of it had a consensus mechanism that worked in the same way. Even was it Adam Back with Hashcash? And Adam Back's another person that people think is Satoshi or part of the Satoshi group. Like, the bottom line of it is, like, blockchains, in the way that everybody describes them, the common term blockchain as people would use it nowadays to say it is a open, immutable, trustless ledger. Yeah, right. Again, the most oldest version of that is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has 99.9999999% uptime. Yeah. So given that the next best competitor to that is Ethereum, which has, I think it's a 98% uptime. Yeah. Like, what other data and statistics do you need at that point? Do you understand, to understand which one has had the least errors and which one is the longest chain? You don't need any other data points. It's just common sense. Do you understand? So I think that sometimes what happens in this space is we often attribute all of the kind of, hey, it does a bright, shiny, wonderful thing. Like when you buy a new car, hey, it's got like nice curves on this one. This one's got rims on it. Whatever. It's still a car. It still gets you from A to B, doesn't it? Right? So if the point is for getting to A to B, which is the point with Bitcoin, we want to be outside of the system. We want decentralized money that we control. Yeah. Right. Then putting loads of bells and whistles on it doesn't make it necessarily better, does it? Right? It just means that it's another version of doing that. And if the same car that is, you had that's getting you from A to B, the AK Bitcoin, hasn't broke down, and you can continue to upgrade it, which is obviously what's been happening in recent times. There's been more upgrades for Bitcoin and Bitcoin layer 2s because a lot of things are around security with Bitcoin, obviously, itself. We don't want to break Bitcoin. Nobody wants to break Bitcoin, but at the same time, you have to throw all of these things at it to stress test it, to know if it can be broken. So 15 years down the line, 16 years going into, here we are with this version of, a linked list that has a proof of work consensus mechanism attached to it that hasn't had none of the problems that these other things have had. Do you understand? Like, and if you want to go back let's say, I know you said that like XRP Maximus, but XRP for me is just not even, hey, you want to do that, fine. It's not my thing, innit, right? Like, but when it comes to let's say, Bitcoin, let's say as in, hey, has anything, I mean, ETH the number one competitor again. So let's say, has anything happened to ETH where we would say it was compromised? A lot of people say the DAO hack. That's the first thing that people go to. Hey, the DAO hack happened and they rolled back Ethereum against, like, that's such a red flag. It's unbelievable, right? But the DAO hack happened and they rolled back Ethereum against the wishes of community. That's crazy. Given what a blockchain is supposed to represent, right? A lot of people say that, right? That is the point. But do you know there was another point that, again, if you were around in those days when Ethereum was launching, that I talk about this quite a lot recently, and people are like, oh yeah, because right now, Bitcoin, let's say for the past 5-6 years, has been attacked in the sense of Bitcoin's bad for the planet, mining's bad for the planet, it takes so much electricity. A lot of people don't actually realize that whole mining argument comes from Ethereum. It doesn't come from Bitcoin. It was an attack vector that Ethereum was used for to get at, hey, Bitcoin is bad because Bitcoin didn't change the proof of stake. Why did Ethereum change the proof of stake? Because Greenpeace were turning up outside consensus.
Well,
Like, fuck you guys.
Ethereum as well,
Do you understand?
became more centralized with the Ethereum 2.0 upgrade as well. It makes it more achievable to get higher chunks of the network, own more chunks of the network, because it's like whoever's got the biggest pockets.
Yeah, and what my biggest worry has always
That is
been
it.
when it comes to blockchain, because Gold, you're absolutely on point. And Hedge, honestly, please feel free to jump in any time. We appreciate that. The more we can conversate and talk about these things, the more we can learn, but the more we can break down these important factors that don't often get talked about enough. But one of my biggest concerns was let's just say the powers that be's biggest tactic is divide and conquer. And if all of these blockchains came together to work as one massive machine for the people to operate outside the system's destroyed. And it's destroyed in a way where they want centralized control because it's the only way that they can control everything. And they know that Bitcoin is the biggest threat to that. And all these other ecosystems coming after, they're absolutely terrified because we can not only create but interact our own value that doesn't need the dollar, and that must terrify them to their core, especially when people are starting to understand this tech more, they're starting to use it more, they're starting to add value to it, and that's what I think it scares them. And one thing I was always hoping that there wouldn't be a divide between like XRP and Bitcoin, because they both have different values, but we also have to understand that a lot of these ecosystems that are going to come into play will be backed by the people we need to stay away from. And I think that's why it's important that we have these conversations to find out what is the best move for us to keep our own value and protect self-sovereignty. So I appreciate the perspective you're coming with, Gold, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, go on. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to jump in and say 110% agree with when you said that Bitcoin's not really been tested and we need to test that. I 110% agree, because if we look at things like Solana and other blockchains that have had downtime, they've had issues, they've had hacks, they've had this, they've had that. Bitcoin being the oldest. Okay, it's I don't want to say it to be like I'm anti-Bitcoin. It's kind of it's a dinosaur. All right, so it hasn't really been tested in the era that we are in now, where you have Solana, you have these meme coins, you have these NFTs. Lots of stuff are being put through the system that transactions have not happened like that on Bitcoin, right? And now that we're seeing the satoshis and being able to write on the satoshis and stuff, we're going to test what Bitcoin can do. Me personally, I have my own kind of little theory, because if you guys know, and I'm not in it as long, you guys sound way more educated than I am. I'm not in it as long as what you guys have been in. But if we know one thing, we know that there was some messages written inside Bitcoin, right, by Satoshi. If that was capable of being done, what else is capable of being done inside
Well,
Bitcoin,
well, well,
inside the Satoshi?
well, listen to this, right? Listen to this. Like, there's a lot in that one there. There's a lot in that one there, right? But especially where we are at now in this present time. But what I was gonna say is, I'll scroll back a little bit to what I said earlier, right? Is that NFTs existed on Bitcoin before they existed. Non-fungible tokens existed on Bitcoin all the way back in like 2013. Yeah, we're talking about colored coins, yeah, right? That was the first non-fungible thing that was built in this entire space, yeah, right? That was Bitcoin, using opcodes, right? Yeah. After that, the second or third, I think it was Mastercoin, and you've got Bitcoin, you've got Namecoin, right? So Namecoin is like the third blockchain that was built, or second, most people say, because Mastercoin kind of just died a horrible death, right? But Mastercoin was Namecoin was really like kind of a model of Mastercoin, right? And Namecoin again was looking at doing what people grabbing ENSs and all of that stuff like that. That was Namecoin all the way back then, 2014. Like as I said, Skrilla had already had off-chain music that was tied to an on-chain, let's say non-fungible, in 2014 on Counterparty, which is again Bitcoin layer, we could call it. So it's like everything that people are ranting and raving about, and that's why during the 2021 bull run, I looked at the market, I saw we was approaching the 60k, and I saw what was going on. I saw Bored Apes, saw everything coming, and I was just like, people ain't gonna fucking learn. Like, people are not gonna fucking learn, because there's so much hype around, let's make money, hey, let's just do whatever, we're just here just having a fucking bouncy fucking castle party. Yeah, like, no one's actually gonna learn. So there's gonna be a load of people that's gonna come in later at the end of the 2021, and they're gonna all people this late, phoning, as they do. Everyone's got one of these people, that they know. They phone you after the action's done. Hey, like, hey, what was that thing you're talking about? Like 20 other people are now telling me about buying it, and I bought like some of it or whatever, and then fucking bear market ensues. Bitcoin's down 60-70%. So what happens to everything else? It's the same like when people tell me about the ultrasound money idea for Ethereum and everything else. So Bitcoin's going to zero, Ethereum's going to be this, XRP is going to be this, whatever. But Bitcoin goes to zero. Best believe whatever you are holding is under zero, my guys. Like, it's gone. It just doesn't exist anymore, right? That's just it,
I think
right?
the only way that
So,
Bitcoin breaks is if
Well,
Satoshi's
it's
coins move.
mathematically impossible too, because people like me have donated 20 Bitcoin to the Ether way back when. So yeah, it can't go to zero, because 20 Bitcoin for sure will never be sold on my end.
I agree that if Satoshi's wallet becomes active and even moves a Satoshi, period, if it becomes active whatsoever, that will be our next black swan. I guarantee it. That will be our next black swan.
I mean, look, again, it really just depends, innit, right? I think all you guys here, right, all you guys that are building here, by the time something like that, even if it happened tomorrow, right, for it to happen, right, you guys are fucking diamond handing yourself already, right? Everyone's fucking here. We're all trying to diamond hands as much as we fucking can, right? So I think that, yes, it would cause mass hysteria. Yes, people will be fudded and all of that shit. But the main thing about people, the fucking Satoshi wallet, right, is this, right? Will Satoshi dump? Yeah. Or does Satoshi have a backdoor? I think the backdoor shit is well out the window because we know proof of work doesn't work like that, right? First of all. So that's just well out the window. So a lot of that talk is really just speculation on is Satoshi going to dump? Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, if you jump into fucking Bitcoin super maxi, purist spaces, them man ain't getting scared like everybody else. Them man are like, if Satoshi starts dumping, we're all buying, bro. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? They're all like ready to buy those sats for as cheap as they possibly can. Yeah, right. Because we know even if Satoshi moves that dough, even if Satoshi did something with it today, like overall, it doesn't affect how Bitcoin works. Do you
It
understand?
will
And
continue to
Bitcoin, the
function like
network,
it always
still.
has done.
Yeah, exactly. So in my mind, whether it's more people than one person or whatever for Satoshi, that person is smart enough to know all we've got to do is not move anything from here until the entire financial system is swallowed.
That's why I was
Best
pissed he
believe
wouldn't give
in
me any
20
bitcoins.
Best believe though, bro, in 2017, yeah, when they were talking about what was it, credit card market or whatever was it 3 trillion or whatever. No, in 2017, nobody was like, oh yeah, people was like, oh, you think Bitcoin's really gonna beat Visa's 3 trillion market cap? Do you think that's really gonna happen? Bruh. If I told you Bitcoin wasn't 3 trillion right now, you'd be going and checking your portfolio to make sure that you haven't lost any dough. Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? Right? So that just shows you how far the industry has come, even from obviously Bitcoin being worth nothing to it being worth, like what, 60,000 quid, like
The
recently. That's
the one thing I
crazy.
think the one thing I think we can all agree on is that we don't know. This whole space
Yeah, facts.
is the unknown. You know what I mean? Like we all know that this space is the unknown. I watched and not to cut you off, I watched a video and I forget the guy's name. I'm drawing a blank right now. A little short guy, glasses, Italian looking dude in a suit, and he said, if I told you all who was behind Bitcoin, you'd sell right now. And we don't know. We don't know if he was just fudding or if he knows something.
Oh,
Like
that was
we don't know.
That was at like
fuck. I can't
15K.
remember who. I think that was like not Mike Pence. It was somebody else. It was fucking. I can't remember who it was. I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about, and I know what clip
but
you're talking about. But
he's a multimillionaire. Huh?
the thing is, look, the thing is again, like this is what I'm saying. Right, I don't want to get too hung up on. We don't know. Yeah, right. Nobody knows anything, right? to know that you don't know anything means that you know everything, and
Yeah, it
and
means
you
you know
still don't know
something, that's for
everything,
sure.
right? Do you understand, right? So at the same time, though, yeah, what we've got to think about, yeah, right, like, is again, as I said, I'm a realist, innit? I'm just about common sense, right? So, like, in a common sense way, yeah, right, you have to think, because I've got mates who, when I was early on in this stuff, like, my mates like, hey, like, Bitcoin's like the mark of the beast, basically what CBDCs are, right? He's like, that's what Bitcoin is, and that was back then, right? So he's saying to me, Bitcoin's the mark of the beast, like, that's why they're trying to get everybody trapped, they're going to fool you into believing that, like, and then they're really and truthfully, they own Bitcoin, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, listen, would you rather have your foot on one side of the fence and another side of the fence, yeah, than just be on one side, yeah, and not actually explore the unknown, yeah, and not actually see that there may be an opportunity to change all of this shit, right? So in that sense, right, I often say again, right, with CBDCs coming, right, and them trying to push CBDCs, or if we want to talk about as a Revolution said, with all of the different blockchains and them kind of trying to force everybody onto proof of stake, because they can do that with all of these founder projects. They can't do that with fucking Satoshi because nobody knows who Satoshi is, isn't it, right? So there we go. So this can happen, right? And when this actually happens, what do you think even their safe bet? They have to have a safe bet between themselves. Do you understand? So that goes to the point that you made before, Hedge, right? About like, hey, like what happens if that does happen? If kind of like we end up in this situation, like where we're really trying to like, we have to really fucking get out of the system. Yeah. Like, do you think that these billionaires, banking cartels, whatever, do you think they're going to just like be using the same shit that we're using?
But see, you push that comment about proof of stake. Now, if you look what United States has done, and good old Gary, Uncle Gary, cousin Gary over there, he made a big thing where he doesn't like proof of stake. He doesn't like you earning rewards on what you hold, right? He doesn't want that, which is why, if I'm correct, he was going after Coinbase and some other places because they were getting more in return from staking than what the banks could offer for just putting it into a savings or a checking or whatever. So that kind of argument could go both ways. Just throwing that out there, playing devil's
Yeah,
advocate.
no, I love that.
Yeah,
I
no,
love that
truth, bro.
because that
I like
yeah,
hearing
that's
that.
how we you know we can dig deep. I mean, my personal perspective is we were conned into thinking that the fiat had value, that it was scarce, you know, even though it can be printed out of thin air. So personally, I will never listen to the people who conned me the first time about what is and what isn't. They are playing a game in power, which we know. We know that what takes place in Parliament is just a show, you know, and it's the clever because they like to own both sides. They like to be the good guys and the bad guys. They like to say, oh, you know, don't touch Bitcoin. It's used by criminals, knowing that people don't realize it's a public ledger that anyone can look at and that they could use an AI software, scan every blockchain that exists, find every transaction that was ever made and chase every single wallet back to a social media to find every penny that every person has ever earned to claim tax back on everything. So they are very clever about what they do and how they do it. And what I love about Web3 is people are coming together like this to figure out their own value, that because that's what the charts does, is it just tells you what everyone agrees the value is from buys and sells, and that is the simplest way that you can look at it. And that's why I've totally vibed with what Solnik was saying about it's all based off of emotions, that if people, like the guy saying, you know, if you find out who was behind Bitcoin, it would go to zero, you know, people listen to that guy and will probably panic sell as a result of that. And that could have been a tactical play that he made because he was shorting Bitcoin and he saw it going up and it was pissing him off. So he thought, I'm gonna change the direction of this because I've got, you know, 17 billionaires betting on what I just said last week. So I think it is great that we come together and talk like this and really figure out what is the truth, you know, where is the truth, you know, and figure it out ourselves. So I appreciate you guys all touching on these topics, definitely.
Definitely, bro. And the thing is, yeah, just to, to add to that as well, Hedge, right? So another thing like that you got to think of is, and sorry, yeah, I'll let Shane go afterwards. But another thing that you got to think of, yeah, right, is in the end of the day, similar to what like Revolution was saying, right? So there's market games, right, that they can play, right? Definitely, and it's much easier to play market games with proof of stake. Do you understand? It's 10 times easier because there is founders. They can put pressure on people. Again, just going back to where I was saying about Ethereum mining, when Ethereum, the whole mining debate didn't come from Bitcoin. The whole mining debate came from Ethereum and the whole Nvidia saga of, you know, miners buying up all the graphics cards, all the gamers being pissed and still pissed at the crypto space to this day because of that shit. Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's what was taking all the energy. That's what drew the mainstream news to find out what was going on with Nvidia, because Nvidia stock went nuts. Yeah, fucking miners were buying Nvidia graphics card like crazy. Yeah, and then they were saying that Ethereum had this massive imprint, even bigger imprint than Bitcoin, because Ethereum obviously was unlimited at that point. So it was like, hey, these guys are going to be mining this shit forever. So Nvidia's always going to be sold at a graphics card. You know, it was crazy. And as I said, that all stopped because pressure was put on the Ethereum foundation by all of these, climate activists and climate proposals. And when you look at it now, if you actually look at what the play is now with Bitcoin mining is actually the most efficient form of fucking energy use that there is like, at this moment in time, because it has the highest proportion of renewable energy that can be made out of it. So it's like, you know, if Bitcoin
There's
is
something
looking for
that people
everybody
don't
else,
realize.
then, you
It's
know,
something that people don't realize. It's that Bitcoin's actually allowing this revolution of energy. So sometimes the wind's blowing really hard and everyone's making cups of tea, great, but you've got this excess energy that just goes to waste and it can't be used. Well, you flick on a Bitcoin miner and you start mining Bitcoin, and then the wind dies down, and people, are cooking their dinner. So you switch the Bitcoin miners off, and then you serve the demand as it's needed, and you monetize the waste.
That is such a very well.
If you really want to touch something even further, it's kind of crazy how they do cloud seeding and they're testing all this other stuff and they can control the weather, huh?
Exactly, and that was exactly what I was going to touch on.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, yeah, I'm telling you, when you like, we're all in the rabbit hole, yeah. Everyone here is in the rabbit hole, and it's like I said at the beginning, right? No matter which method that you got here to make money, you got here to come out of the system, you got here for decentralization, you came here because you could build more efficient products, you came here for ownership, self-sovereignty, whatever it is, all of those things lead you back to, hey, this is why Bitcoin was created. And it continues, as I said it right at the beginning, to swallow every fucking argument against it, yeah, including fiat money itself. So when you were saying just there, Hedge, also about, Gary Gensler, you got to think the way that the American political system works is to save the dollar. It doesn't matter what it is. Like
we want to be the strongest.
That's it. So they will pick on proof of stake now because proof of stake is a easier a battle to fight. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right? Like, not because, hey, there's some agenda that, hey, they created Bitcoin and they're trying to protect Bitcoin, even though Gary knows a hell of a lot more about Bitcoin than, the average person thinks, right?
Yeah, considering it goes back to MIT with Algorand,
exactly,
and Quant and everybody else, and people don't realize
I want to bring Shane into the conversation. He's had his hand up patiently for a minute.
Sure,
What's
I
up,
wanted to
Shane?
kind of, yes, hey, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to kind of take it back to, you kind of touched on it there with Gary Gensler, but a friend of mine mentioned this the other day, and it really speaking of rabbit holes, really dug me down a rabbit hole. Is FTX really dead? Think about this. Stick with me here. The way everything shook out, all the political money that was given to all the political candidates, what's going on? All the political money that was given to all the candidates, and who were the three major players? Coinbase, Binance, and basically the SEC, the government. And just look at the way all these trials for SBF and all his connections to the U.S. government. I think I don't think it's out of the question that the government comes in and takes over FTX. I don't think it's dead. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good point. And it touches back on what I was just going to quickly bring this whole conversation to, is what they want, for better for worse, is us to pay attention to the news, because what happened was a revolution of people that started to see the BS that was being used to manipulate everything that was being done through media, and we stopped looking at what they was telling us and we started talking to each other. So what they really need to happen, and I'm no expert, but this is just what it feels like, so I could be wrong, but they need everything that happens in the markets to align with everything that they talk about on the news, because then we have to watch the news to have a step ahead of what's going to happen in the markets. And it's really clever on how they play it out with what takes place with what's going on in the news and then what happens on the charts. So even though we know it's BS, they know that they're still going to, over time, warp our perspective, because they're using what they want to put out to affect what we see on the charts.
FTX was
to go
exactly
with
that, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
to go with what Shane was saying. What if I told you that the United States government was one of the largest holders of Bitcoin?
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
They're
they are
like
from
the
Silk Road. I know
fourth
that.
largest holder or something, right?
Silk Road.
FTX is 100%.
Yeah, they're in the top 10 for that. So to say that,
I thought it was top 3.
very well could be top 10 or top 3. I don't know exactly per se what they have now, because they do continuously sell. But I do know that they are in the top 10 of wallets. And obviously we've got number 1 at Satoshi. But to be even in the top 10, the top 5, that's a pretty huge deal, considering it's a government centralized entity that holds that kind of thing. And that argument can go like, all right, so now is Bitcoin centralized or decentralized? If you have any one entity owning so much that it becomes the majority, is it really centralized, or is it,
Okay. I think there's two
still
things that you're
decentralized?
getting at. I think there's two things that you're getting at here, right? First thing is, right, if Bitcoin is still as decentralized as it being decentralized, it doesn't make really a difference, right? That's again a proof of stake problem when it comes to who's holding what, right? The other thing is like when people actually fully understand how proof of work and how Bitcoin works, even as money, right? The US government would have to literally, or the governments of the world would have to actually capture every single Bitcoin, right? And hold it forever frozen
N-
away in a wallet or burn it, yeah,
no, it wouldn't.
for them to defeat this. Because what actually happens, right, is if you like the way how the economy would work is that if you hoarded Bitcoin, at some point you'd have to spend it. And this is why, the other side of the maxi argument, you get these maxis that are like, hey, we just hodl Bitcoin forever. Yeah, no, bro, you don't understand. You
You
have to
don't have
spend
to
it, bro.
spend anything though,
Yeah.
because what makes something valuable? Think about this. What makes something valuable? What the
I
next
mean, really
person's
and
willing, what
truthfully,
the next
it's
person's
just the
willing to pay
value.
for it.
Exactly. But
So,
my
so
thing is,
all of this
yeah, go.
is one giant barter system, right? We could choose to say gold is not really worth shit, right? They got away from gold to jump and got into the dollar because gold was too heavy to carry. People only found that gold was valuable to them because it was hard to get to and it was shiny, right? So not only is it heavy, it's hard to get to, and it's shiny, which is why they liked it, because of those things. It was rare, but they couldn't carry it from point A to point B very frequent and easily, right? So the paper currency came about. Now we have something that's digital. So we're taking something that now paper currency got too heavy and too much of a pain in the ass to carry from this point to this point, or it took too much for a bank transaction to happen from this point to this point through their system. We move it into a digital system. Now our cryptocurrencies can be shipped from here to there instantaneously. Now, unfortunately, Bitcoin happens to be a little bit longer than some of these others that are out there, but it is the tried and true OG. It hasn't failed, like we've mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
It's literally still only a barter system.
And we need to remember as well that with Bitcoin block time, that is as we say, is a feature, not a bug, innit? Yeah, right. So that's security of the chain, innit? Right. In the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, I agree with the most part of what you said there, definitely, right. And it is kind of going back into this bartering system, but again, like it's what I think where it kind of lies for me anyway, and I think for the message itself at the top level is, freedom money, in it, right? Do you want money that is ascribed to the same set of rules that you've been ascribed to, that you've seen since that paper money's been around, or do you want to change shit in a way where kind of we have a proportion of control, because we don't have any control at this moment in time, right? So I think that for me, that's where the happy medium is. Anyway.
Okay, but what I'm going to ask you right now is when this bull run hits, how are you taking out your profits? What's going to happen? Are you holding on to your Bitcoin, or are you going to turn it into a currency?
Well, I'll do exactly what everybody else, I'd imagine, should be doing,
You're
bro.
turning it back into the government
Which is
currency
no.
that's been holding us.
Listen. What I would do, bro. Yeah. Right? Again, it's not like a full on like this is my strategy, but just a simple, basic thing to do would be, yeah, and this is what I've been doing, it's how I've been living for however many years, right? So the simple and basic thing to do is, as a participant, again, this is no financial advice to nobody. This is just me personally, right? From seeing what I've experienced. So we all know that after seeing that first God candle from Bitcoin, or the first like start of the real God candle from Bitcoin, and we see the first relaxation in Bitcoin price, yeah, right? Or shall we say Bitcoin dips a little bit and goes sideways. That's when we hit like alt season, what we know as alt season, right? So what long-term Bitcoiners are doing, like myself, during that time, is getting rid of a lot of that stash of altcoins for Bitcoin while it is still cheap. Because we know that there's going to be a secondary pump, like it has happened, or we believe. So I'm not going to say we know, but we believe that there's going to be that secondary pump, right? And when that secondary pump follows through, you're going to hold whatever you hold in whatever currency that you want, right? You understand? But for me personally, the largest proportion of my holdings would be in Bitcoin, because I know if crisis happens tomorrow and they start shutting down all these billionaires' bank accounts, bro, that
Okay,
I will
but
have fucking dope. Do you understand? And I'll be able to trade.
I don't disagree with that statement, right? And because I see the logic behind it, right? We know that Bitcoin is the most stable out of all of them. But the real question that I'm trying to ask is that how do you plan on being able to spend any of your earnings that you've created from your investments throughout this bull run without turning them into a fiat of any type of currency from any country,
Well,
right?
look, the thing is, I think what the misconception is here, that you have to turn your Bitcoin into fiat to spend it, which you don't.
Not every place accepts
Yeah, yeah,
legally.
but
Not every place
what I'm
accepts
saying
Bitcoin though.
what I'm saying is on the back end side of that, if I'm a vendor that doesn't accept Bitcoin, and let's say you're using your Coinbase card, let's just use a centralized example. I'm not going to use a decentralized example and get deep into it, right? But let's just use a centralized, the most simplest form, right? You're using like a Coinbase card. Coinbase converts that at the point that you do point of sale. So it's them that's receiving pounds or dollars or whatever. You still spending Bitcoin and you're still keeping your Bitcoin. Do you understand? Right? You're not
Yeah, you're
worried
still
about that.
technically turning it into a fiat
Well,
though.
no, you turn it
Yeah,
into
yeah,
You may
but
you're
not
but
be
turning it
that's
into a
doing it,
because
product
but
or a service.
but
That's
that's because of the person who accepts it. The point is you can still spend it anywhere though, doesn't it? Do you understand? It still means you can still
I
spend
just
it
want to
anywhere.
quickly pull.
if you're putting it on a card,
I just
yes,
want to
yeah.
quickly pull Solnick into the conversation because I know he's unmuted a few times. So yeah, Solnick, you fire away, brother. What is it you wanted to add to this, brother?
Appreciate it. I just want to say a couple things real quick before I gotta hop off here personally because I'm about to do some of my own content. But just to answer Shane's question, FTX is very much alive and well. They are giving back all of the funds at the literal bottom price and pocketing the difference. This is already out as news or like. And then into your point about the news, like where you get the price from is the news. Like I actually think the news is a trick as far as price, because when was the best time to buy Bitcoin in the last 4 years was literally when FTX went to zero, the most scary time possible. That was the best time to buy. The second best time to buy was when Luna went to zero. So that was the second most scariest time of all. And then I'll say to because I've been in this space for since 2014. Uh, like I said, I have 20 Bitcoin just out in the ether. It can't go to zero. I can promise you, because I donated it to the market cap because I care about everybody else, right? No, I'm just kidding. I was just an idiot kid. But I've been serious about it since 2016. Got wrecked in 2018, just like everybody. You get baptized by the fire. But I'll say to the golden one, or into hedge funds too, is like this is how I live my life too. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but I do say, and what I do say to, like, as your boy Ski live streaming, I do say that I am a Bitcoin mostly, and I was heavy in Bitcoin in 2022, and people were like, "Why you always talk about Bitcoin?" I always start off my live streams talking about Bitcoin. It's like Bitcoin is the son of the system, and like he said, if you've been around long enough, you know that Bitcoin goes first, and then everything else goes. People rotate profits. And what he's saying is true. People rotate profits into altcoins as the Bitcoin dominance peaks. It comes back down as Bitcoin is still kind of. It comes back down, and then Bitcoin's still kind of going up a little bit. That's when we have our alt season, and then it does. It rotates back into Bitcoin. But the Coinbase thing, I do this in my real life right now. Like I have Bitcoin on Coinbase that I just use for buying groceries, and I get cash back in Bitcoin. And I just put enough on there to buy, like I put 1 month's worth of groceries on the Coinbase card in Bitcoin, and I do that right now. So yeah, you can do it.
Bro, I feel you. I know you're in that position, like when you leave your fucking house, bro. You're waiting for fucking block times to fucking clear because you got some shit that you want to buy, and you're on your way to wherever you're gonna fucking go, and you're like, hey, let me take $1,000 or something like that, and you're like, yo, just sitting there like fucking waiting for that shit to hit the exchange. That's exactly how I do it, bro. Exactly that.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys. It's been fun. I gotta hop off here though. I'm about to go live for my personal. But yeah, anytime you guys want to chop it up, I like these type of conversations. This is why I had a similar, like, different story to the golden one on my personal side, but it's basically kind of the same. As like, I saw it, I knew about it really really early on, didn't do anything, and then I got obsessed with it and got wrecked in 2018. And then I vowed to, I got more obsessed, and I learned and learned and learned. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. I gotta hop off here though.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for joining us, bro. We appreciate it. And if you want to pin your socials, please do, so that we can come and follow you and show support and check you out. Because I would look personally, as a content creator myself, would love to come and see your stuff, show love to it, follow you, and all that stuff. So if you can pin it, or if you need Hedge to pin it for you because you've got to shoot, I appreciate that. But I will track them down one way or another and follow, because I think you've got stuff pinned to your profile anyway.
Yeah, if you could pin that for me, Hedgefunz, I appreciate it. But I gotta hop off here, guys.
Yeah, take it easy, Solnick. Thank you.
Big up, bro. Big up, big up, big up.
But yeah, I mean, we do normally host these for 2 hours. I know that we've overrun, which we always do, and I never mind. I love this. I love these conversations. I appreciate all of you guys, and and like you, Gold One, and Solnick, you guys have paid a heavy price to be in this industry, and your voices matter. What you think matters. What you say matters. And it's great to get perspectives from people that have been here long enough to have seen this multiple times. Like, what I found really interesting, especially because I joined in the last bull run, saw the whole bull run, then the whole bear market, which I was personally the most excited about, because like everyone, I wish I got into this sooner. And then when all the prices represented the sooner, everyone got scared and ran away, which was kind of interesting, because I thought I got excited, because I was like, this is it, it's a fire sale. And we believed in the industry and what was possible with it, and we was of the understanding of what could happen with it. And once people start to realize that as long as we always want to be here and we see the value in it, it will always be here and have value, because it's us that dictate what the value is. And I think that's the thing that people are missing, because they're so used to the powers that be telling you what the value of things are, what you can and can't do, where you can and can't go. And this space changes that. And it's like, we decide. If we all love an asset, it's going to go up in value, because we're going to buy it until we believe it's peaked at its value. So I do love these conversations, and I appreciate you guys having had paid the price and stuck around long enough to help people like me personally along my journey to learn more about what the truth is and what the value is and what you've really seen. So I appreciate that for real.
If I could jump in and say like something to add to that, where a lot of these guys that have been around and have paid the price, they paid it at at their cost. They paid it for us. We all need to stand together, and it doesn't matter if you're Solana, you're a Bitcoin, an XRP, whatever maxi you may be. It's us against the system. It's not us against each other. And that's where it kind of hurts seeing these different communities going against each other, because the real meaning behind this was not us against each other. That's what the system has made us do for hundreds of years. It's our turn to make it them against us, really, not us against us.
And that's the thing, bro. Like, we call it, like, if we want to put a name on it, it's that fiat mindset. Like, we've all been stuck in that fiat mindset for so long, bro. Yeah, that when this space began to have a fiat value to it, yeah, there's a lot of people that, like, obviously are looking again to my point at the beginning, are looking at just the fiat value of things, right, and not, hey, this is actually a way out of this, right? And that's what causes, I think, the arguments between. I mean, if you were to go back and look at someone like Charlie Lee, right, who created Litecoin, right, the biggest argument against Charlie Lee was always he's a shitcoiner, he created like a shitcoin version of Bitcoin and blah 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 blah. But all he was trying to do, was say, hey, can I build something that's just as secure as Bitcoin and is able to move a bit faster? Do you understand? Are we able to get the kind of transactions that we're looking for? And can you do stuff with Litecoin? And can it be compatible with Bitcoin? Can it kind of like, as it's often referenced, be as like the silver to Bitcoin as the gold? So all of these experiments, like, they're all great because people are now seeing, as Revolution said, that they can do, fuck that paper shit. We don't even have to believe in that shit. We could just go over here and just do our own thing. And the killer thing is that no one can stop you from doing that. And that's why they're now, the things that they're doing now, as we can see from the government movements, I call it cutting off all exits. Yeah. Right. That's what I think is going on now with regulation and with what's going on with the so-called system, is they're cutting off exits. Yeah. Stop you from being able to either get into the space or get into Bitcoin directly. Obviously Bitcoin directly mostly, because and that's why they don't talk about Bitcoin. That's why they will partner with things like FTX. They will promote all of these other things. Do you understand? Because it's like, if we don't talk about this thing, we know we can't beat it. We know we have to join it at some point. So, hey, let's just like make sure that we're joining ahead of everybody else. Do you understand? And let's, we're back to the point of like the US government holding, lots of Bitcoin, locking up guys for creating websites. Like, do you understand, right? Like, it's all a game for them of how we can control this thing that Bitcoin has created. Whether we want to say that all of these other things are Bitcoin's children, hey, the easiest way for us is cut off the children, cut off the access to the children. And if we cut off the access to the children because we can pinpoint target them, then most people won't have access to, and that's why stablecoins is their biggest enemy, Tether, because Tether is considered the on-ramp, isn't it, right? So, how do we stop these people from on-ramping to this? Let's FUD it out of existence, let's lock up all of the characters involved, whatever it is, to get us all to or let's create all of these other things to make people argue. There's CBDC maxis out here, bro. Come on, like it's got ridiculous. It's got that ridiculous that people are actually fighting for their own imprisonment. Yeah, right. Like, so it's mad when you actually think about the concepts that has come from just this one thing that Satoshi created.
Yeah.
See, that's. I'm
No,
sorry.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
bro.
My apologies.
You good. Go ahead.
This is where, like, as a United States citizen, like, I'm upset with the United States government for holding back as much as they have, but I'm also proud to be United States and an American because there are states that are fighting to keep CBDCs away. So we do have states that are over here that are pushing for laws where CBDCs are like banned, like they can't happen.
Yeah.
Granted, we know that the SEC has kind of played a major part in all of this technology change, which makes me upset to be an American because we have halted not only our growth, but growth of the rest of the world when it comes to actual technology, right? We're in a revolution that we've seen multiple before us, industrial revolutions and whatnot. Like, we've seen, this is the technology, the next stage.
Yeah.
And I feel it's a big part that United States has halted a lot of it due to the powers that be.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that.
You know,
And I always really feel for most Americans for the way that you guys get played so heavily by the powers that be. And I know a lot of people are like, there isn't a group of elites controlling the world. You're crazy, and there's a big debate around that. But one thing I do know is that you can't be the poison and the medicine. The system being the poison and blockchain being the medicine. So they have to be one or the other, because they've tried to be on both sides, you know, and play devil's advocate and be good and bad, and they can't stop the truth from existing, but they can confuse you with a lot of misconceptions, misinformation, lies, you know, segregation, divisions, and they know that there's a small group of people, which is getting bigger, that are starting to see through the BS and come together like this now and use this as a way to, you know, weaponize ourselves rather than be weaponized by it, which is what they're trying to do with CBDCs and create digital prisons to control everyone and everything. And you know, they're losing control because value is being created outside of their system, information's being shared outside of what they want to control, and once the truth is exposed, you can't unsee it. And once you see these people for who they are, they can't fix that, and they know that. So all they can do is use algorithms to keep us all in this bubble. Like, and I noticed this on TikTok as a TikTok creator.
Yep.
You know, they created, you know, it looks like, wow, you know, global adoption's happening. Loads of people are talking about this, but all they've really done is just bring us together. So we're just talking to each other.
N-
You know, we're not really reaching people
What
that don't know anything about it, which is quite clever on their part.
what they care about is the buck, though. What they care about is the dollar, because I don't know how often you've been on there lately, but there is legit um, advertisements for DAG block, not DAG Constellation, but DAG block, DAG blockchain. They must
Yeah,
have paid a pretty good sum to have this advertisement go on, but yet they will ban TikTok creators for talking about different cryptos.
and that's what I'm saying. Look, like even with where you started, and I know you're not coming from that kind of place, but what I'm saying is, even what you started in saying, like I've jumped into loads of spaces, right, like before, and said to people, like when they're literally arguing, I've seen people, hey, we're doing this in America, or we're doing this as Americans, or we're doing this in Britain, and China's doing this, and that all of that shit is the same talk. Do you understand? You're still falling under their spell, right? It's not about who's American. This is borderless technology. Like, we're not talking about who the fuck's American and who's British and who's from whoever, who's from where. It's just good people, bad people, innit? Like, good actors, bad actors. Like, that's just it, right? Do you understand, right? So
100%.
it's like even with like America itself, I think that Americans' actual biggest problem biggest problem for the government, or for their government, or for them, sorry, with their government, is the fact that Americans, and we've seen this quite recently, obviously with Roger Ver's case here, Americans, you can never leave contributing to that system, because if you try and leave, you have to renounce your complete citizenship, and in Roger Ver's case, as we've seen, have to have paid all of your taxes up to that date, yeah, to be able to leave and not be taxed forever anywhere
Correct.
else that you go on the planet
That's
Earth. Do
why
you understand?
that's why McAfee is no longer with us. And McAfee was
Facts.
the biggest
Facts.
advocate for going against the United States government. And if you go back in all right, so I'm 44 years old. All right. I'm not a young kid. But the reason why we got away from Europe, and yes, we have European, panel members here. The reason why we got away from that as Americans, this is what our country was founded on, was getting away from taxation. Okay. And what did they do whenever we got away from taxation? They started taxing us. So that being said, they had their own agenda when we got here in the first place.
Right.
We
So
were
so
we were
listen. Can I ask you a question? Have you
uh,
ever read a book, right, called The Creature from Jekyll Island? Has anyone in here read that book? Like,
I've
showing
heard
emotion.
about Jekyll Island. I'll be honest with you. I got a little bit of ADD, so I don't really read much because by the time I'm done with the first chapter, I kind of forget it. So I did not read it, but I have
No,
heard
no,
of
no.
it.
It's all good. It's all good. I was just gonna say, right, like that like before I even read that book, like, 'cause I've seen it for years, right? But I've looked at this from other angles in it to kind of come around to other things, right? Before I read that book, and one of the biggest mysteries that always kind of, as I started to understand, what money was, right? One of the biggest mysteries to me was always the connection between Europe, yeah, and the British Empire, shall we say, and the US of A, right? Now, again, people might call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever they want to say, for this, but I've broken down to people lots of times that the word conspiracy is just for two people to conspire to do something. Even if they started doing it and it wasn't a success, they still did it. Do you understand? So it's still a conspiracy. There's no theory about it if you can prove that something happened between two people or more, right? So in the end of the day, right, like, think about it like this, yeah? When America was founded as a new land. Do you understand? For them to do, in the Europeans who discovered America, so to speak, or took these voyages, was all part of discovering and conquering and colonizing new lands. Yeah. So I often have a joke with my boy, right? Yeah, he's an American, and I'm like, bro, you're not really American. You're just British, bro. You're just British, just really, bro. Like, let's not mince meat here, right? It's the same thing, because in the end of the day, when you look at the early construction of America, a lot of the orders were coming from the British. Do you understand? The orders to build new civilization in that land. Yeah, right. And it wasn't until after the Federal Reserve, yeah, really and truthfully was created, that it was said to have been, people say it's the Constitution, but it's said to have been American after the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve was created in this meeting, supposedly, and again, most of it is factual anyway, that happened on Jekyll Island. And who was that between? That was between the Dutch and British and European bankers, supposedly, and parliamentarians, right? So
You know that
in the end of the day,
the Federal Reserve is not a government entity.
yeah, exactly, it's a company. The Virginia Company is suspected, which was the original company that took over, that was colonizing for business for Britain. It's suspected that the Federal Reserve is a new version of the Virginia Company, because after slavery, they had to abolish the Virginia Company because of all of its ties to slavery.
It's way deeper than that, my friend. Way deeper than that. And I will just say, without saying the full names, but a couple of the families have R's at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
that's all I'll say at that most. But
And
it is
and
not
J's
even
as well.
United. It is not even United States.
Yeah, R's and J's. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes. One of them happened to have some type of
Unfortunate
involvement with
boat
the
accident.
Titanic as well.
Yeah.
One of their
Yes.
ancestors famously called Bitcoin a rock. That's why they
Yes.
send rocks.
Yes. So when it comes down to that, like even with that, like even though we're supposedly backed by the federal government, the federal of where? It's not the federal United States. Like, and what we can dig even further is that, and now quote me, please don't quote me on this because I can't remember exactly how it was. But at one point in time, United States went from a federation to a corporation. I can't tell you exactly when the date was, but it has happened. And I mean, I'm sure I can link one
You
of
can
you
look it up.
guys
You can
an
look it up.
article for that. But if you go back, it went from a federation to a corporation, which changed everything.
Yeah.
But I don't have the exact facts and dates in front of me, so I apologize for
No, but
that.
this and this is it, about how it works and how they've been able to do it, and it's like, the way that they trick people. Like, let's take the red pill, blue pill topic, with
Cool.
the Matrix. The catch is you're still taking a pill, whether you take the red pill or the blue pill.
Yeah.
And that's how they've operated for all of time. It's like, when you break down everything, like, let's just say, like, black and white people, it's all different shades of brown. We're all on the same spectrum, and we're all one race,
We
and that's how we need to operate.
all bleed
Exactly.
the same
Good and
color,
evil, hot and
you
cold.
know.
They've made it look like two
I
separate things. Like, hot and cold are on the
I
same.
legit
They're on the same spectrum. It's just at different ends.
I legit I watched a video and it was a black dude talking about it and goes, if you think about this, if I pull this guy right next to me up and he was like a paler colored gentleman, he goes, technically, he's not a white guy. He's got pigmentation in his skin. So you can't say that white and, like, none of this exists without somebody else making it exist, without somebody else pushing that narrative. Like, we're all one people at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Just the same as none of this really matters. We're all bartering at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter if it's cryptocurrencies, it doesn't matter if it's dollars, it doesn't matter if it's an apple sitting on your counter. Every bit of this is a bartering system. So can it really be taxed
Va-
for a security?
va- value for value, bro. That's exactly what it is. Value
What
for
you
value.
see the value in it is maybe what I'm going to accept that as a value. Because you want this, I will give it to you for that. It's all a barter system.
Yeah, and
At the end of the
and it's how
day,
it's
it's
how
barter.
how we're played with our perception and all of the stuff that's in our minds that we've been taught. And it's about, I think, one of the things I have learned from being in Web3, it isn't about what I need to learn; it's what I need to unlearn. Seems to have been the most valuable thing. And just bringing it back to blockchain,
Yeah.
utilizing a solid currency like Bitcoin is obviously the play. I mean, just look at what's happening with it, what they're doing with it. They know they can't control it unless they own enough of it. And if they're buying it and becoming one of the biggest holders, that's the biggest the biggest green flag there is, in my opinion. I just want to welcome Wolf Punks to the stage. Happy Saturday, sir. Thank you for joining us. How are we?
Hey, how you doing?
All the better for seeing you, my friend.
What's up?
I appreciate that. I just wanted to piggyback on what he was saying. So I don't know if you know Waka Flocka. He's a rapper. He's from Atlanta, but he's was on this show and he was talking, and he said like the strangest thing was when he goes overseas, like they don't say white people, black people, they say Americans. And he thought it was the weirdest thing because he said we're the ones like you were saying with keeping this narrative going. We're the ones that keep it alive. And he was saying like there's nobody over there thinking like that. Like, if you're from Poland, you're Polish, right? Like it doesn't matter. But for some reason America tries to push that narrative.
I think that has to do, being an American, I think that has to do with as many freedoms as we do have. We get to be a little bit more overzealous of what we can and can't do. And I won't really go too much into that on this account because I have my opinions that may not agree with everybody else. But it does have to do with the freedoms that we do have that allow us to continuously be that way.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, and that is echoed by again, like I said, the fiat mindset thing, right? Like us in the Western countries, we've been given, certain things, whether they're distractions or whether they're what we see as perks or benefits or whatever, and that's why these southern, countries are like, the global south, as they call it, sorry, yeah, right, that's why, yeah, those people will see the value in just Bitcoin without everything else, and they will see everything else, like, don't get me wrong, but that's why they will see the intrinsic value in just having Bitcoin itself, because again, right, we're used to, hey, like we've got this, we've got access to heating, we've got access to power, blah 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 blah, like, even just kind of like, just to come back, because we started to talk about the project that I was working on, but one of the guys, the other MC on this project, like, he's from Zimbabwe. They're cutting off the power like, every day, bro. Do you understand? Like, doing load shedding and shit. One of the other guys is in South Africa. Like, they're cutting off his power, bro. Do you understand? Right? Like, that shit is like, it's crazy for those people. Like, and Zimbabwe, best believe, know the value in this fucking shit that's going on with crypto and with Bitcoin, because Zimbabwe is one of those countries that was hit overly hard by, like, I think it's like the top 3 inflation crises or something like that, right, in Zimbabwe, right? He was showing me like 3 billion or something like that. It was, or 30 million or something like that, Zimbabwean dollars to buy toilet roll, my guy. Do you understand, right? Like, so what I'm saying is those countries, they can see the value a lot more, to your point, you know, they can see the value a lot more than we can see the value, because we've been given these so-called niceties. Yeah, right. And that's why the talk now is that, yeah, that's why everybody's like, oh, crypto, you know, Africa, like BRICS, all of these things are going to be catalysts, because these countries that have been controlled by what that divide and conquer strategy is, funnily enough, is a British strategy. That's how the British Empire conquered 70% of the world, right? Divide and conquer, right? Let's not go in gung-ho. Let's just strategize and make people start fighting against each other. And then let's put a settlement in every place that people are fighting against each other. And while they're fighting against each other, we just slowly take over the land. That was the strategy of the British Empire.
I could join into that conversation and say how much I agree with what you're saying and add to it, because if you take Africa, which is one of the largest continents, right, they have not only colonized and taken over to a lot of it, but it's going to happen a lot worse, because there was a massive, and I mean massive, gold stash found over there. I don't know the exact country, but it was found within the last year. There was basically more metric tons of gold found in the ground.
Yeah, they're the richest
Then
continent
pretty
on the
much,
planet. They're one of the only currencies that is fully backed by gold.
right? But why are they the most technologically behind? Because everybody else keeps coming over there, taking their shit and holding them behind. Sorry for the cursing, but
Divide and conquer, bro, because all of the
uh-huh.
different countries, the main problem in Africa is that it's lots of different countries inside of a continent. It's like America, it's like state laws, right? In America, yeah, state laws are different everywhere. But in Africa's so large that it's like whole countries. Do you understand, right? That all have different laws, all have different presidents, so on and so forth, on one landmass. So different countries were divided at different times. Like, you can go and look at all of this. It's all in history, right? It's all been documented, right? So different
Oh yeah.
countries were, you know, pitted against each other in Africa, right? This was where, like, literally the whole takeover of Africa is where that whole divide and conquer strategy comes from. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, and that rings true to today. This is why just now you're seeing these, as again, global South countries coming together to say, hey, we want to do BRICS, we want to do something else that's outside of what dollar's doing, because dollar hasn't done nothing but fuck us over, and
Well,
pound hasn't done nothing but fuck us over, you know, forever, you know.
don't get me wrong. Like with the Africa portion of it, though, like United States doesn't have much in as far as that end of things. Now, I will say with like Middle Eastern countries, stuff like that, yes. With Africa, that's more so a Chinese and Russian kind of takeover. Chinese more so with that kind of
Britain and
them
France, my
moving
guy.
in to farm what the resources they have are. If I'm trying to say it in the right words, so I apologize.
No,
But
you're saying it right, but I'm saying Britain and France, yeah, have more control. But again, we'll come back to that point about Britain in a minute. I'll let you finish.
go ahead.
Oh no, right. So I was gonna say, right. So Britain and France, they probably have more influence, yes, than the US, right? Yeah. But back to the point what I was saying before about the whole, you know, what I think from the Federal Reserve. This is just again my opinion, yeah. Like, from looking at the whole Federal Reserve creation and everything else that goes on, right? Like, so Britain, right, has a massive tourist industry, like massive. Like, it's so much money comes into this country from tourism. And you know, the guys there, Revolution and Bacon, they're living here. They will tell you that the housing thing and the housing crisis, what the government relies on is all foreigners to come in and buy up the houses. Do you understand? So basically, Britain has very little exports. So how do they have a currency that is more valuable than the dollar? It's a lot of washing going
Well,
on somewhere.
that
You
that I can
understand?
tell you exactly. Being an American, no, being an American citizen, I can tell you that firsthand. And I love these conversations. By no means will I ever take anything offense. Just so anybody knows, you could literally call me whatever. I won't take offense to it. I'm thick-skinned, so you could say some ignorant shit, and I'd be cool with it. What this comes down to is us dumb fucking Americans have printed. Not even us dumb fucking Americans. Our dumb fucking government has printed way too much money and has diluted what we actually are worth. So at that point, what happens is now what we technically think we're worth, we're not really worth. So everybody else is now passing us up because we get idiots that are in a system and they say, hey, we're going to go pay for this, or we're going to go pay for that, or we're going to send this, or we're going to send that. And we really don't have the money to back it. That's why everybody else around us is passing us up in what we are in dollar value. And like how the British dollar is worth more than the United States dollar, that's why. Because we have idiots in the system that are pushing out money and we shouldn't be.
And it's kind of interesting as well, and I appreciate that we can have open conversations like this, because this is what makes change happen in the most positive light. So I appreciate everyone showing love and respect to each other, regardless of where they're from and what they think. That is epic. But I just wanted to say, it is interesting how they became one of the top 10 holders of Bitcoin at the same time as this printed the most money they've ever printed in history.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, they technically didn't become that when they started printing the most money. Silk Road was how many years ago? Um, they didn't really start printing this until this last presidency came about. So within the last 3 years. And Silk Road was definitely a lot longer than then. That I will say, but they have gotten very generous with what they have
Yeah.
had to give out
I
now.
think it's clever how
I
they've
will say
sort of
that.
created like a global panic around the dollar, because they like to create the problem and then provide the solution. It's another one of the tactics alongside divide and conquer.
CBDCs, anyone?
Yeah,
Well, like I said though, there's Florida and Texas and a lot of other Republican states that do not want CBDCs. So the fact that that there are states that are passing laws for no CBDCs
Yeah, it gives me
means
hope.
something.
Yeah, definitely gives me hope.
You know what I mean? Like that's why I'm happy to be a United States citizen, but at the same point, the fact that we're having to have this is, but I
yeah,
mean, CBDCs are happening everywhere.
yeah. And as fast as they can pass a law, they can change it, which is why I don't even, I try not to look at what they're doing whatsoever, because I think what we do as a collective could be way more powerful than what they can do as a collective. And I think just imagine if, let's just say, the whole world for one day was like, right, today we're not going to work, we're not buying anything, we're just going to decide to not do a thing today. Could you imagine the absolute disruption that would cause? And then imagine if we said, right, well, for the next 6 weeks we're not doing anything.
Well, if you have looked, not to shortchange you on that topic, there have been times where that has been done, even outside of the United States or say even Europe, where they've done it in like Canada. And look what's happened with the funds that have happened to have gone towards those truckers. You know, the bank accounts have actually gotten locked and stuff. So it shows that they do have a fear.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
And it
But
also, that particular situation actually also showed that Bitcoin's biggest use case, like straight away, because all of them truckers, they got dough from Bitcoiners. That's how they got through that whole
Yeah.
crisis.
well, I
Same
mean,
thing
that
with the
could be said the
Ukrainians when
same
they had
thing.
their bank account shut down.
The same thing that I would just say, not even just Bitcoin, that would be any cryptocurrency. Like, I don't mean to shit on anybody's parade, but when it comes down to it, Bitcoin's a lot slower than like even Algorand. It could be instantaneous, but it's any cryptocurrency. They don't want that. You know, there's other cryptocurrencies that can move things a lot, even like, it take 30 minutes, it could be done in seconds.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
that's
in
the
your
beauty
account.
of coming together and using different things for different purposes. But also, some things don't have to be the fastest or the best. It just has to do its job and be reliable and
Exactly.
something we can lean on, And I think that works for, a multitude of things, most definitely. I just want to bring Wolf in because he's had his hand up. So, yeah, fire away, Wolf.
I was just going to say the weird thing for me, and I don't know why this is, but Americans, not all of them, of course, but a lot of Americans look at like we are the hub. We are like they think like people are running around, everybody's running around Africa like chucking spears, and they have no internet and they have no technology. And this is not just Africa, like all countries. Americans are kind of put in a bubble, right? And the government wants it that way, of course. But the thing that I like about Web3 and being able to like talk with people here and everything is, I've been able to push my message that I want to do, but also expand on that in many ways. So, and this is all comes from not just cryptocurrency, but just blockchain in general. But it's funny when you start looking at some of these, even if the government's against some of these things, the corporations that are going with it, like Starbucks with Polygon with their reward system. What is it? BMW. When I was working there, especially when the pandemic hit, they were having to move a lot of parts around, like instead of waiting for parts, because they couldn't get shipped here. So, they use VeChain for tracking all of their parts and everything. So you're seeing like the technology will come through regardless whether people want it to or don't want it to. Like change happens and things are gonna be more efficient, and like you were saying, like Bitcoin is going to be Bitcoin, and there's going to be other coins that are going to be faster, and people are going to use them. But this is going to happen. I find it funny when people think that things are going to stay the same way, how it always has been, how it always will be, and that's not true because at the end of the day, corporations are going to do what's going to make them more profitable, right? So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the government say. These companies are going to start using it, being outside of the country, and it's going to come in. And like you said, CBDCs are, a thing that's going to happen, regardless whether you like it or not. But and there's always good and bad with technology, right? But I just think that a lot of people in America need to look outside of America and say, hey, there's a lot of good things happening out here, and we're not like the hub like we think we are.
Yeah, and you've definitely touched on some good points there, bro. So I appreciate that. And most problems isn't the tech; it's the people. All of the issues that we have all faced with this industry hasn't been a tech problem for the most part. It's been people. Like people have been scammed, and been ill-advised or uneducated, and decisions have been made, and it's never been the tech that failed the person. It's been the person making the mistake. And that's why it's so important that education plays a really huge part in everything moving forward, especially for this to work, in benefit of people. People have to understand what is happening and how to utilize it, because I think that's the concern I've always had is most people just simply do not care. Like it doesn't matter what you put in front of people. People scroll through terms and conditions and just click okay. They don't read that. You can tell people do this or don't do that, and they just won't listen. They're just not bothered. They're impatient. And 9 times out of 10, the problem is with the people and not the tech, in my opinion.
I totally agree with what you're saying, and that's why I'm worried that all these people that are out there saying, well, mass adoption's coming, blah, blah, blah. The banks are in mass adoption. No, I'm sorry. I still have to teach my mom how to program a freaking remote because she got a new TV. Mass adoption is not coming because for her to try to figure out how to use 5 different wallets to do this and that, no,
Yeah,
it's
the
not.
world isn't ready for mass
And
adoption.
until we get past these generations and we're in our generations that are in this now, like, okay, I'm at the older end of our generations that are in cryptocurrency, and you've got everybody that's younger below. Once we get into my generation and lower, or maybe a little bit older and lower, we're not going to be into mass adoption because the fact that you've got to learn to have this wallet, write down this password, make sure you keep those passcodes and possibly write them down on a piece of metal and engrave them into this. No, it's too hard. There's too much stuff involved, and those people are not going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
no, you're
sorry.
absolutely right.
You know,
And just to touch on that, um, the industry isn't ready, and I think when mass adoption, if it ever takes place, we won't even be recognized. People will still be using the bank cards, not knowing that it's just a different methodology on the back end and not on the front end. So most people won't even know what once it's taken place. But for the most part, um, the world isn't ready, because I think the first thing that needs to take place, which I was humbled by recently, is cybersecurity. It has to be something that we all learn heavily about because that's the biggest threat to everyone, and always has been through social media. And then the second thing needs to be simplicity, like you were saying. People need to just be able to effortlessly flow through the industry without struggling to interact with things in ways that just overcomplicate and confuse people. And thirdly, when it comes to certain things like what Bitcoin does best is self-sovereignty. Some people shouldn't be and probably don't want to be responsible for their own assets because they don't trust themselves or know enough to know how to keep their own things safe. Like imagine if someone gave you 1,000 Bitcoin now, like where would you put it? What would you do with it? How would you transact with it? You'd be shook because you wouldn't know where to put it and how to keep it safe, and then you'd never feel comfortable no matter where it was. So I think that, it like Gold was saying, we are still super, super early, even if it has been, 12 plus years since blockchain came about. And another thing I just wanted to quickly mention, I know that we're going to wrap up soon, is the most thing that is what's been sought after from the corporate side, I think, is it's not specific assets, it's just blockchain technology, and that was what BlackRock was talking about. They just want to use blockchain technology. They don't want to use certain ecosystems, certain assets. They'll create their own ecosystems using blockchain so that they do have full control over it. They're not gonna adopts a system that's already been created by someone else because they can't own that and have ownership over it. But I think ecosystems like Bitcoin is out of their control and they'll never be able to regain that without turning off the internet. So it is really interesting.
you kind of shocker how they've been having all these solar flares when you're talking about turning off the internet.
Well,
Just throwing that out there.
well, you know what I think is going to happen, and this is just me personally. Um, you hear people and they're like, "Oh, banks are going to go away." I don't think banks will ever go away. I think what you'll do is you'll get to a point where the bank will be custodial for your seed phrase. It'll be like you just go in, open an account, just like you open a um, bank account now, right? They'll have all the information stored. That's how I think a lot of things will go because, like you said, it has to be simplified. Like I have certain
So brick and mortar.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like because of the fact that people, like you said, they're not going to write down their seed phrase and remember it and do that. Like, um, the other thing too that I think is funny is like the fact that people use blockchain technology every day and they don't even know it. Venmo runs on blockchain. I don't know exactly what blockchain they run on, if it's their own or whatever, but it is blockchain technology. And that's to what you were saying, Rev, is that's what I think will be is it will be used, but nobody will necessarily know it, right? It'll just kind of be in the background. Because even I have a Juno account. So Juno Finance is basically a traditional bank account that has cryptocurrency kind of wrapped up in it. I think they have like 30 cryptos that you can buy. You can spend it with your card, or you can spend fiat and everything, but it's kind of the same way. And it's funny, they have all the securities built in that I feel like MetaMask should have, right? Like you have to verify a transaction before it goes through, right? Like you have to put in a password. Like it just can't just go on its own. And simple things like that people are not even going to know that they're actually using blockchain. They're just going to be utilizing it because that's what's going to work out best for everybody.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It has to be simplistic. So well said, bro. We are gonna have to bring this to a close, I'm afraid. It's been an amazing space. I would love to talk about this all night because these are really important topics, but we will set up a space soon. We do community walk-ins every so often where we just have an open stage for conversations like this because they're so important. And Gold One, thank you so much for bringing this conversation about because I've learned a lot. People will learn a lot from this, and it's a great way to come together to iron out the things that we're uncertain about to help stay closer together so we can use the industry in a way that benefits everyone. And we all have an opportunity to build on this and utilize it to, monetize our passions and live a better life. And, we all want a better tomorrow. Like I'm a father of 5 myself. I want a future that my kids can have that benefits the world, and we can use this industry to do that. So I'm super passionate about it, and these topics and conversations is what changes what the future holds. And the greater our understanding and the closer we come together, the more powerful a movement for the people, by the people can be. So yeah, thank you for joining us and giving us hours of your time to talk about this and showcase your music as well. So please, anyone who's in this space, go and check out Gold One's music, go and show his socials some love, and let's follow each other, support each other, and stick close together and learn from one another, and give each other the time to get to know each other before we judge, which you can already tell that just from the conversation on stage that people are very open-minded and willing to respect one another whether they collaborate or not. And I think that is absolutely epic. So we'll quickly go around the room now and get closing remarks from everyone, but then we will bring this to a close because it's been an amazing space. So Bacon, we will start with you, brother. Have you got any closing remarks, my friend?
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. No, it's really good having you guys on today. Really, really good topics, conversation, and that. But yeah, we do this shit every week.
We sure do, sir, and thank you for staying awake past midnight. I mean, you're probably a pumpkin now, so
I am just turning into a pumpkin as we speak.
yeah, Bacon turns to a pumpkin at midnight. So the fact that he's still here, Gold One, you must be something special because he wouldn't have stayed awake for anyone else, I promise you. So whatever you guys have got going on, fair play. That's a bromance even I don't want to get in the middle of. So yeah, respect to you two for that. I suppose what happens in Portugal stays in Portugal, right? I'm just kidding. Wolf, have you got any closing remarks, you legend?
Yeah, just want to say thank you. Always appreciate you guys putting the space on. I always like being in here, and it's nice to still be here with all you guys. I'm not going anywhere, and neither is anybody in here. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, bro. And thank you for what you do. And for anyone that doesn't know, Wolf has a project built around animal welfare, animal rescue. So if you vibe with Web3 NFTs, animal rescue. Go and check him out. Go and show him some love. It's amazing what he's doing, and he's done an incredible job of it as well. So definitely check him out as well. Thank you. Hedgefunz, again, thank you for joining us. 50, you're a legend. It's great to see where you are right now, and I appreciate you coming here with the people you're collaborating with and working with. And again, thank you for allocating hours of your night to come vibe with us, bro. Have you got any closing remarks, sir?
I would just love to say, like, you guys are doing amazing work over here. You know, bringing everybody together is beyond what, a lot of people out in the space are doing. Getting to know you guys over these last couple of years has not only been a blessing, it's been an honor. And what you're doing here just shows like the work that you're putting in. Absolutely phenomenal. Golden, definitely great chatting with you, brother. Um, we need to all definitely make sure we can get on spaces more. If you guys aren't following anybody on the panel and you're in chat, definitely follow them. But yeah, it was great conversations all around. So amazing, and thank you guys all.
Let's go. Thank you, sir. We appreciate the kind words. Honestly, it means a lot. And yeah, we most definitely are going absolutely nowhere. So thank you for supporting and showing the love. And we appreciate everyone in the audience for listening in for hours as well. We hope you enjoy it too, of course. Thank you for people that share the space, show up, show love. So many amazing people. We've got Alicia down there who recently added the plus. She's got a great project as well, and a great movement. So definitely check her out. We've got Gunnar, who is a part of the Hound4 family and the Hound4 project, which is awesome too. Him and his son and his wife and his son's wife, a Web3 family, which is just absolutely iconic. To check him out and them out as well. We've got Trey down there as well, part of the community's core team, a human bridge that wins all Discord games. So keep him at your Discord, but he is also a legend. We've got Harley down there as well. We've got Kevin John down there. We've got Jimmy down there as well. We've got Kane Mayfield as well, another absolute legend. Also makes incredible music. So if you love music, Gold One, Kane, if you guys aren't already connected, you probably are. But if you're not, definitely worth connecting. And we've got Romulo down there too. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I'm bad for that. But we also have Steve in the building as well. And we also have Rhino Tough as well. So let's go. Goal One, have you got any closing remarks, my friend?
Yeah, madness that you just said that as well, because I was in Kane's space earlier and I had to jump out of Kane's space to come into this space, and I literally was like, yo, bro, I gotta jump into this other space. But yeah, definitely, man. Big up to you guys. You guys are doing great work, definitely, man. And just it's that bringing people together in it, just to have conversations, because in the end of the day, everybody's still human, inside of the space, and people are doing different things. And just because they're taking it from a different angle than you're taking it from, it doesn't mean that nobody doesn't have to do what you're doing, innit? Like, everybody is doing their own thing. It's just like coming to agreement, or as we say in the space, in it, consensus on like what you do agree on, or where you can collaborate. You know what I'm trying to say in the end of the day. But no one shouldn't lose sight of just doing whatever they're doing, because again, you're creating the value that you want to create for whoever you want to create that value for. And in the end of the day, if people are gonna resonate with that value, maybe you need some help, maybe you need more time in the space, maybe you need more ideas. At some point, you'll get to that point where you want it, but you just got to keep going with it in the end of the day. And yeah, like, definitely, again, big up to Kane, because Kane is another guy that he's utilizing his voice and what he does in music to to kind of bring together the Bitcoin world, to the music world, and change the kind of way that musicians are looking at their own stuff as well. So yeah, man, big up to everybody in the space again. And yeah, slowly just releasing this music over time, and just working with as much in the Bitcoin ecosystem as I can with the music that I'm releasing. And Kane's space, you might have to get Kane up here quickly, because Kane made a point earlier in his space that I think that a lot of people overlook with the music space, is, is connecting all of the ideas and the real kind of live physical music as well, and how that connects with Bitcoin and the whole entire space. So yeah, a lot of people, Kane's one of those few that definitely understand the both sides of the music and also the chains. So,
Yeah, Kane's a legend.
big up though.
We've seen him a fair bit. We're big fans of Kane Mayfield over here. But yeah, mate, dude, cheers for taking me up on the invite. Straight away you're like, yeah, bang, I'll get your form filled out. But yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. You guys are epic. Yeah, Kane is an absolute legend. He says it as it is. He's as real as you get, and you learn a lot from him. And he humbled me with my perspective on global adoption. And as much as I want the world to be ready for it, it just simply isn't. And he were right when he said that. And I've been thinking about it ever since. And also his drive for cybersecurity as well, and people's understanding around that. Just outside of what he does musically. The man's a legend. So. Yeah, Gold One, thank you for joining, mate. It's been incredible. I'm so fortunate and glad we met. I definitely will be keeping in touch, checking your music out and showing love to that. And we will definitely have you back at some point in the not so distant future as well, because we want to do some more music spaces. We're in the process of setting up a mega music space, so I will be in touch with you about that. Same with Kane as well, if Kane's listening. So that would be awesome. And anyone else that would be interested in that. So we will be bringing this to a close. I will play us out on some music. Shout out to Shaggy from CBW Radio for our intro, and also to VI_NFTs for the song as well. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to us. It's been a great space, and we will catch you this time next week. So take it easy, everyone, and thank you very much.
We'll gather round, it's time to hear the story. Got a movement taking over, taking back the glory. It's the community of communities in the Web3 and NFT space, connecting minds and creating a whole new pace. We're revolutionizing, breaking all the rules, building bridges, breaking chains, freedom once you choose. To empower artists, give them ownership and control. And together we rise and we're taking back our soul.